Warning. Adult content. Oh shit, it's Batman.
Remember, kids, Beer 420 contains strong language, strong sexual language, and the use of alcohol and marijuana. 18 and older.
You're listening to Beer 420.
Yes, I know, I'm late. I'm like that little white rabbit. That little white rabbit that I don't even have to say the name of. Wait, that is his name, little white rabbit, huh? Oh, I don't know.
It's a beer 420 show. Crack a brew and roll your dough. Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing in the mainstream.
Punk ass down, it's time for the show. So get your blunts and ready to go. Lose the inhibition, listen and let your mind blow. Every thought brought here is a chance to grow. Tired of politicians telling you what you can't hear? What we offer is the truth uploaded straight to the ear. So you can catch us on the interweb with all of the nerds yelling fuck the industry and throwing double the birds. Ha! Listen, we on a mission, dissing a 99, pissing off the piggies that treat us like we was Columbine. Cause the police state is a state of decay. We gon' keep broadcasting until they haul us away. So kick back, relax, and enjoy this here. Probably share a couple laughs and maybe even a tear. We the suicide saints screaming share the wealth. What's it called? Bam and Cat about to give them some help. Cause it's a beer 420.
We crush the industry.
Crack a brew and roll.
We're puffing on the tree.
Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing in the mainstream.
It's a beer 420.
We crush the industry.
Crack a brew and roll.
We're puffing on the tree.
Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing in the mainstream.
Bam, I am. Slam grams through bongs and Trans Am. I ain't got it, but I'll jack your mom's. A blood splat in my palm, and I'm jacking off. Laughing while I slap the pap stop and drink the froth. Make me gag like today's rap. Lil Wayne and Kanye should take a grave nap. Saints take the game back. Old school like 8 tracks. We young like 9, but enraged like cage rats. Despite that, we just screaming we needs monies, bitch. We tell you this and laugh about it, hoping that you get the hint. Taking chronic hits and lit up like a summer day. Roll another spliff and drinking all the pain away. You tuned in right now, just sit the fuck down. Crack a beer, roll the dro, turn it up loud. Let's go, 420 on the clock. Blunts, roll pack, plenty, stay blaze, never stop, yeah.
It's a beer 420.
We crush the industry.
Crack a brew and roll.
We're puffing on the tree.
Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing in the mainstream.
It's a beer 420.
We crush the industry.
Crack a brew and roll.
We're puffing on the tree.
Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing in the mainstream.
Alright, again, a big shout to Suicide Saints for that new intro. It's amazing. What an odd thing to see Beer 420 on such a day during the week. We do that. It's on our website. We do tell you if you really can't make a Sunday, then you can work something out with us. We have special guests today, and we have returning guests as well that are also special. But not as special as this man right here.
Yeah.
The author, we have right here with us, the author of the Missouri Cannabis Restoration Protection Act, and he's sitting right here next to me. I am like, he didn't even know. He's like, oh, he seems like a pretty calm guy. And all of a sudden, wow, this guy right here. Let's get on a roast. But Nick, you guys and Bill, welcome back, both of you. And I didn't want to jump the gun on Mark.
Oh my God.
I'm going to let you do the formal, but I said this man right here, the author.
Yes. It's the author of the Missouri Cannabis Restoration and Protection Act. A very good friend of mine. I reached out to this man when I realized that every other cannabis initiative wasn't right for what the vision I saw in cannabis. I was introduced to Mark Pedersen, and we've hit it off ever since. He told me, he assured me, he had an initiative that would knock my socks off. I'd heard that. I'd heard that.
Still can't find your socks.
No, I really can't. Not after I read it.
It's like
Not after.
socks. I
Hold
ain't
on.
seen them since.
He emailed it to me, dude, and I instantly knew this is what was right for Missouri. And this guy is amazing, and I'm so lucky to be able to work with him. He helps so many children. He helps so many adults. He's given away over $75,000 in cannabis oil in Colorado this year.
Not 7,500.
No, $75,000.
Wow,
in
that
cannabis oil.
is
to needy
amazing.
children, needy
That
children,
is amazing, man.
and
That's mind-blowing.
adults. And his name's Mark Pedersen.
Thank you, buddy.
Glad
Welcome, Mark. Welcome to
Thank
the
you.
show, and thank you for
Glad to be here.
coming and visiting with us. I know we can be a little on the seedy side to most people, but you know, seedy isn't the high grade stuff. If you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, I want to thank all you guys for being here, and Mark, I think what you're doing and have done and are in the process of doing is absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you myself for putting yourself out there and making yourself available for this amazing initiative that you've got going here. Now, what would you say? Now, you just got to town. You just got here. You've got quite a few visits to make You got quite a few visits to make while you're here visiting. But I looked at your website earlier, and you're not a new hat to what you're doing. You've already kind of been through a grinder already elsewhere, right?
Well, I was 56 years a Missourian, so I mean I've been very much a part of Missouri. I've revised the House bill for Missouri, the medical cannabis House bill, twice. I was the original writer of the Show Me Cannabis Legalization Initiative in 2012, and worked throughout that campaign. I'm no longer with Show Me Cannabis. We kind of parted ways, but now we have this bill here. I didn't write the Missouri Cannabis Restoration and Protection Act specifically for Missouri.
Oh, okay.
I wrote the bill for the nation as a template for the nation to use. You have to understand, the original template when I wrote the Show Me Cannabis Legalization Initiative in 2012, I based that on the Jack Hare bill originally, and who I was fortunate enough to meet at once, and a remarkable man, and he's no longer with us, of course. But I believed in what he believed in, and that was in true, real legalization. Not what we're seeing around the country right now.
Right.
Every other bill that's out there basically is just another version of prohibition.
Right. Except it's, instead of making it illegal, it's legal for big pharma profit and no one else.
Well, even more so than that, I have to understand that the dispensary model, like we see in California, Oregon, Washington, other places, didn't just happen. The dispensary model came about by design, and it is not prohibition. What we have in Colorado is not legalization. Colorado is prohibition. It's just another form of it. 90% of the people in Colorado, one state where it's supposed to be the most legal, 90% of those who really need cannabis don't have access. And when we have that understanding, when Amendment 64 came about, since then we have gotten hundreds of pages of regulation have come. It's become more and more controlled. And what we're seeing, and there's a reason for it, and it's to eliminate the caregivers, eliminate the home growers, eliminate the oil makers like me.
Right.
In favor of channeling the vast money made through the cannabis industry down through the hands of a small few people.
Right.
That's really what this has been about in the past. I say the cannabis needs to be in the hands of everyone.
Right.
Cannabis needs to be treated like the food that it truly is. Cannabis should not be treated like a harmful, dangerous drug, as it still is even in Colorado. Colorado, it's a Schedule 1 drug in Colorado.
That's crazy.
It should not even be on the drug scheduling at all.
Yeah, I have friends that were in Arizona, and they said that you would get infracted worse for getting caught with a gram of pot than a gram of methamphetamine. Like their pot laws are that bad.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that when I heard that. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, man, you could have hard drugs all day long. You've got pot. Oh, you're going into jail. I'm like, what? That makes no sense. Sounds backwards.
Well, okay, look at it
That's
like
just
this.
one state.
One thing you have to understand, and Arizona is one of those states, when you're talking about a Schedule 1 drug, okay? Colorado is still a Schedule 1 drug. It's a Schedule 2, I believe, in Oregon. Somebody will correct me on that. They were talking about moving to Schedule 3, and I don't recall.
No, I thought the schedule listings were a federal thing that people were supposed to be adhering or trying to align themselves with, but you're saying one state has it as a Schedule 2, so they do have control themselves over.
Every state has the right to be able to change
the belief that is not changeable is a lie.
Yes.
Because that is changeable.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, on a state level.
I would move cannabis to a Schedule 2, and they don't even have cannabis. Cannabis they don't even have a medical program. But Iowa changed it to a Schedule 2. And I testified at the pharmaceutical board hearings. They had 4 of them scattered out across the state of Iowa. And they basically sued the pharmaceutical board for Iowa is the ones who are in charge of the drug scheduling for that state.
Right.
Each state's different. But the good friend of mine, he's the one who sued them. And what came about from that were hearings that they held all over the state, which were historic. I mean, the people who called in, the people who came in to testify at these open hearings, phenomenal. Raphael Meshulam, who I was just talking about a little earlier, the guy isolated THC in 1964 in Israel. He called in from Israel to testify at that hearing. It was just incredible.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. That's an amazing piece of history right there.
It's unfortunate that Iowa wasn't able to carry it further at that point. They had tremendous momentum at that point, but didn't seem to take it any further, so they didn't get their medical program. The difference here is, so you have to understand, is that there are only 23, 24 states that can do an initiative process in this nation. Okay. Iowa, Kansas, these states, Kentucky, Tennessee, they cannot do what we can do here. 16 states can do a direct initiative. Missouri is one of those states. What a direct initiative means is we can take an issue like what we're dealing with here with the legalization of cannabis.
Right.
We can bypass the lawmakers of the state. We can bypass the governor, and we can take an issue and place it on the general ballot and let the Missourians decide. And that's what we're striving to do here.
That's the mission, is to get that on the ballot.
If we can do that in Missouri, we will give the hope to the rest of the nation that we can actually go for what we really want, not a compromise.
Right.
We can get what we really
want. Right, exactly.
Want.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the show Redacted Tonight.
No.
It's a Russian television broadcast program. They're the only station that will broadcast it because they're telling the truth about American news.
RT News.
Yeah, RT News. Yeah. So it's easy for them to go, oh, those commies, or they're selling out to the Russians, but the Russians, hey, they would love for us to see some of our own dirt. You know what I mean? So they're like, oh yeah, we'll broadcast this Redacted Tonight. This guy's dead on. Like, and we feed them information. We'll come across something. We'll feed it to them. But my point is that they're out of Washington, D.C., and they just recently passed their new prohibition laws, as you described, yes.
Right.
Their fake decriminalization, if you will. And he totally just threw that right out on the table for everybody, and I was blown away by that. He's like, yeah, they're giving us this happy, pretty package, but what you're not realizing is that there's hooks in it. There's like, there's all this red tape, and
Here's the thing: is cannabis is non-toxic. This has been proven by science. We
Right,
know
in
this
its
beyond
natural
effect.
state,
It's
non-toxic. Somebody
altogether.
compounds it,
It's
and
still
alters
not-
it in the
It's
lab.
still non-toxic.
Even if you refine it, if you make it into a concentrate, it's still non-toxic.
Wow.
Cannabis is really remarkable because cannabis is actually food. And this is the thing that's unfortunately is missed too often. Cannabis has been food for the human race quite literally as long as we have been walking upright. Unfortunately, there's been a big push throughout the 20th century and into the 21st century to eliminate that history, the knowledge that cannabis has been food for us. Cannabis is a superfood. Cannabis is more nutritious than flax.
Oh, wow.
There's a reason why whenever we take cannabis, why cannabis brings about the healings that we have. Like I've already we haven't really discussed yet, but I provide cannabis oil. I make cannabis oil.
Right.
I provide cannabis oil currently to 8 pediatrics and a few adults as well, and all terminal. All the children who I work with are either dealing with pediatric cancers or severe seizure disorders. Basically, cannabis was their last hope. All these children were on their way out.
Out of
Right.
options.
You know,
No more options
These
left.
children were out of options. They were dying, period.
I know people 2-3 persons removed of, several different age brackets that were in that same situation.
Here's a
And
little.
they're out of, and they would even be out of money, out of options, and the hospital's like, well, your bank account's empty, your kids' bank accounts are empty, see ya, you're gonna die.
You're going to die. Go
And
home.
their kids didn't take that for an answer and looked into alternatives, and then
You want to hear something funny?
they went into complete remission. Like they never even had cancer ever in their life. With a change of their pH scale and their body diet and, regular doses, they complete remission. It was bizarre.
It's happening more and
And
more.
I've heard it more than once. 2 or 3 people removed where
Tell
they
him
were
the
going
story.
bankrupt and told, you're going to die, you're out of money.
Mark,
See ya.
tell him the story about the doctor that believes how we became upright by eating cannabis.
What? Oh, that was in Caveman movie. I love that movie.
well, okay. First off, the thing you have to
You'll enjoy
understand:
this.
all mammals are born with what's called an endocannabinoid system. We produce within our bodies substances that are very similar to the substances we find within the cannabis plant. The cannabis plant has a phytocannabinoid system. Humans have an endocannabinoid system. We produce a substance that's very similar. You've heard of the different cannabinoids, THC.
Right.
CBD is another one that we're hearing a great deal about right now. CBD is another. Well, these are only 2 of roughly 90 plus cannabinoids, active ingredients found within cannabis that have medicinal benefit. But THC and CBD are particularly spotlighted quite a bit. THC mimics a endocannabinoid, that's you produce it within your own body, called anandamide. Anandamide was given this name by a gentleman we've already been talking about a little bit, Raphael Mashula, who isolated THC in 1964, determined that THC was a particular cannabinoid found in cannabis that got you high.
Right.
Okay, he called it an anandamide, which was kind of it basically means bliss. So you get high from it, you experience bliss.
Experience bliss.
Yeah. The endocannabinoid that perhaps most resembles CBD is one that's called 2-AG. It's got a really long name, but that's about all I can say of the name. It's 2-AG.
Right. 2-AG is its chemical compound.
These are chemicals that we produce within our own bodies.
Right.
Actually, what they're called, they're and I can't get very technical with this, but I can tell you, they're part of a lipid messaging system that we have that functions within our own bodies. Your endocannabinoid system has been called the great regulator because its responsibility is to maintain homeostasis. So you hear about people, they say, the cannabis gives you the munchies. Well, cannabis can make you hungry. It can also take your appetite away. It can raise your blood pressure, and it can also lower your blood pressure. Right. It's the great regulator. Case in point. Let's talk about a tumor. Let's talk about a breast tumor. A breast tumor forms What if you were to look at it microscopically, you would see endocannabinoid receptors would immediately begin forming around that tumor. Okay? The health of your endocannabinoid system is what determines whether that tumor remains. I'll tell you a little story. My partner Regina Nelson and I, we run Cannabis Patient Network Institute, which was our main not-for-profit. Also, we just formed ECS Therapy Center, which is our 501c3 now, and we will be operating out in 2 states. We'll be operating
now, how
out
can
Colorado
people
City.
find you have websites?
You can go to cpninstitute.org.
Okay.
And you can find us there. Also, myecstherapycenter.org.
Okay.
As well.
Excellent.
Well, I mentioned that because my partner Regina Nelson and I, who we run these orgs, her daughter Brianna came from Michigan. Well, she was still in Michigan. She was diagnosed with stomach cancer. And the doctors there wanted to remove 3/4 of her stomach. And she also has a special needs child, both of which we wanted to take care of. We felt that we could benefit them both. So she got on a bus, and she made her way to Colorado so we could care for her. We immediately started her on cannabis oil that I prepared and raw cannabis juice. In the course, in roughly about 3 weeks or so following her arrival there at our place, she became rather violently ill. She was vomiting blood, and she was passing blood through her stool. She went to the emergency room. They did scans on her. They found that the tumor, like I said, doctors in Michigan wanted to remove 3/4 of her stomach, right? They found the tumor had broken free and was hanging by a small band of tissue. This is something that cannabis is quite good at. It's called apoptosis.
Whoa, so it just like rejected it.
Yes.
Like
in the court, the doctors at the hospital didn't know, even though it's a Colorado hospital, they didn't know how to take care of her. They were shocked.
Right.
They just sent her home. In the course of the 3 days that followed, she passed the tumor. She's cancer-free now. This, I have to say, I've seen this before. This is something that cannabis is particularly good at doing.
So basically, if you look at the tumor as like a little thing with tendrils that's stuck into your skin and is kind of rooted into it like a tree or a bush. Basically, what you're saying is this system that you're talking about is basically part of that root system that holds it in its place.
Well,
you're saying the health of that system is what
the health of the system
determines if that holds on or if it grows and multiplies or if it just.
There was back a number of years back after they first discovered an endocannabinoid system. There were some people over in Europe who got the bright idea. They said, "Oh, we have an endocannabinoid system." Well, one of the things we know that the endocannabinoid system does is it gives us or takes away our appetite. So if we were to develop a drug that could shut down the endocannabinoid system, we would have the perfect diet drug, right? That's what they thought. So they developed a synthetic drug that had the ability to shut down the endocannabinoid system. And they marketed it in Europe. And it did exactly what they said it would do. People lost weight very rapidly. They also became morbidly depressed. Well, after there were a few suicides, they decided, well, maybe we need to investigate this a little further.
Yeah, why are people offing themselves? Yeah.
So they started doing tests on rats. What they discovered the rats was, once you shut off the endocannabinoid system, the rats became morbidly depressed. They wouldn't eat. They also developed tumors. So what we discovered through this whole debacle was that cannabis is anti-seizure, right? Your endocannabinoid system is anti-seizure, and it also affects our mood. Now take and relate that to cannabis, which is functioning, even though we don't even realize it when we use it recreationally, is a supplement to an endogenous system we already have within our bodies. So why does cannabis benefit us? Because it's supplementing something our body already does. Our body is already fighting off cancers. Our body is already dealing with all these issues through an endogenous system we already have.
Right, taking the bads and the synthetics and whatever garbage you can find and locate and excavating it either through sweat or feces or urine or whatever.
These are ways in which we regulate.
Right. It's like an internal body ventilation system, if you will, to some degree. A little highway of little things moving around.
It's interesting.
It controls a lot. If you think about it.
We don't develop. What we have in our endocannabinoid system.
Now, is that system a microsystem?
Yeah,
Meaning it's got little critters in there? Because I looked at the breakdown of a cell, and they're weird. They look like little bobblehead stick people, and that's basically what holds they keep our cells alive.
Well, your endocannabinoid system,
which
like
is
I said,
weird. They're little bobblehead people. There's millions of them in a little cell.
Our endocannabinoid system is like I said, it's a fat-based system. It's a messaging system. It's a means of communication between our cells.
Okay, so it's a communication line.
Absolutely.
Network. Okay.
Yeah, it maintains that line of communication. So and it's like I said, like our when we develop endocannabinoid receptors, we develop them where we need them. We develop endocannabinoids where we need them. So
which, to put it in a like simpler term, would be like having your security staff with walkie-talkies and sending them to certain areas of the building, and they're always in contact.
That's right.
And if that system is healthy, there's no problem.
It's like I said, when a tumor
but when that
forms,
communication breaks down, which you're talking about, that system will get broken, or it won't.
Well, when like I said, a breast tumor forms.
Right.
If you were looking at it microscopically, you would see endocannabinoid receptors forming around that. What determines whether that cancer remains or if it's taken away or basically
disappears
is the condition, the health of your endocannabinoid system.
Right.
Absolutely.
Crazy, man. That's mind-blowing. I did not know that. So
how does that make you feel?
Whew, man, I love microscience. Biology, the micro life part of, the science, that kind of stuff blows my mind. But, yeah, so you're saying that, this communication network can and that allows these cells, these bad cells or cancer cells to thrive instead of die or get kicked out of the park.
I'm convinced that a large percentage of our autoimmune disease it's environmentally caused. I believe all autoimmune disease is environmentally caused, but I believe a large percentage of our immune issues are caused by pharmaceuticals. I have a real problem about using poison to heal.
Right.
And Hippocrates made a statement. He said, "Let your food be your medicine, and your medicine be your food."
Right.
And cannabis is perhaps the most perfect medicine that there is.
So my guess is that we stood erect because we were picking the low-bearing branches.
Well,
getting the easy to hang fruit, if you will, and had to keep going up the stalks and reaching higher, which caused us to eventually stand erect. Is that?
There's different people.
I totally took you off the initial topic.
Could have been.
I'm good doing that.
There are different people who have made the statements that they, just like as Nick was just pointing out a little earlier, they believe that cannabis could have had a lot to do with the evolution of man, but the evolution of a lot of species. Because understand, all mammals contain an endocannabinoid system.
Right.
All
mammals. Right.
So could it be? Well, we know that cannabis is a neuroprotectant. We know that cannabis can help to encourage the generation of new neurons, which new connections to your memories, to your thoughts. We are seeing so many remarkable things that are transpiring right now, and the whole reason is because cannabis is becoming more available.
Right, because even the struggle pulls some of the smaller curtains out of the way. I mean, isn't that when you bring it to the table? I mean, it does kind of move some of those curtains out of the way for not only, the community, the public in general, whatever. They're getting more information because you guys are out there on the front going.
The unfortunate thing is that when it comes to research, when it comes to drugs and different things of that nature, and cannabis research too, it's been largely propelled. The research has been largely propelled by the pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
So it's kind of a very narrow thing you walk. When cannabis is still a Schedule 1 drug, federally.
Right.
There are several states that have moved it slightly down that drug scheduling, but still a Schedule 1 drug.
Schedule 1.
As a Schedule 1
drug. It needs
drug,
to just get off that list.
Exactly. As a Schedule 1 drug, in order for you to have access to it, you have to have a doctor with a Schedule 1 license and have access to a pharmacy that has a Schedule 1 license.
Which doesn't make it available to the poor, which is fascist.
Or anyway. So the thing about it, but here's the unfortunate things. Cannabis was placed on the drug scheduling list. We're bouncing around all over the place.
Yeah, we are.
A little bit of history.
Yeah.
Was placed on the controlled substance list by the urging of then President Nixon in 1970.
Yeah, I researched that a little bit.
Well, then you probably already know that it had absolutely nothing to do with cannabis being a drug.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing to do with euphoria or anything else. Everything to do with the drug, with the Vietnam War and protesters, and what Nixon perceived as the best means to take and get the protesters arrested was by making the thing that he saw them all smoking, a Schedule 1 drug.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's all a point of our history, unfortunately. But once it was put on the list, the drug schedule list, it's laid there in limbo, and it's still in limbo today. It's treated like a Schedule 1 drug, but it's actually in limbo. Once you move it from the spot where it's at, unless you remove it entirely from the list of controlled substances, you move it anywhere else on the list to a Schedule 2 through 5. Now it comes into the possession of the pharmacies and the drug companies.
Yep.
Yes, a Schedule 1 drug.
As soon as you move it on the
have
list
to
instead
totally
of
take it
remove
off.
it.
Yes.
Oh, tricky business. Tricky girls out there.
The federal government right now is considering moving it to either a Schedule 2 or a Schedule 3, where Marinol, the synthetic of THC, is at.
So you're shouting right now to my listeners that if you were to hear that the federal government is moving position on that on the schedule ranking on a federal level, then it's a cash cow move.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay, I interpret that correctly.
And huge trouble for states who have medical programs currently.
Yeah.
As well.
Right, because then
a bud tender, you cannot hand out something that only a registered pharmacist can do.
Right. So they're trying to take complete ownership is what they're doing. More fascist crap. So
that you couldn't grow.
Welcome to Nazi Germany, USA. Okay. How
does that make you feel?
Yeah. I have family that are German, and they're good people. But the Nazis they were very fascist. They were very extreme, and what they said was how it was, and they controlled everything. Which is kind of the argument with Cuba, But in honesty, if you take the Cuban point of view, they're trying to retain their individuality because capitalism comes in, it's just going to rape everything. And that's what they've been trying to stop from happening, and now they're going through prohibitions or probation periods. Not to go too far off topic, I'm just saying that the world is there's so much regulation, so much bloated control over what is, in my opinion, not just a food, but a miracle plant.
Absolutely.
It is a textile. It can be used as a fuel. You can burn oil in your lamps. You can make clothing with the fibers from the husks. You can take it and grow it in the desert and reclaim desert land to fertile soil.
Right now, cannabis, hemp paper is a $200 billion a year industry in China. $200 billion. As Jason Love, he's the guy who wrote the last 2 hemp bills for the state of Colorado. He's a close friend.
So China doesn't want us to legalize it either.
Jason.
That's interesting information. I didn't know that. That's another good tidbit of learning today.
My buddy Jason, he told me it's not even good paper. And he knows. That's
hilarious.
Now, if you look at all,
not even good quality paper.
Look at all of the things that we can produce with cannabis.
Oh my God! There's
Okay.
shirts. There's high
Textiles.
filler. There you can basically take it and granulize it like flour and use it in your cooking. You can use it for textile shirts, clothing, shoes, fuel.
Plastics. You can make plastics. You can make biodegradable.
You can make
You can make
plastic.
building materials.
Hemp plastic bottles. No more filling our landfills with stuff that doesn't biodegrade.
BPA plastic.
Wow, so like biodegradable hemp plastic. That's
Yes.
a new one on me too. I didn't know that one.
You ever
either.
heard that one?
Cool.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Understand that. What made me a cannabis patient? I've been a cannabis patient for over 18 years now. What made me a patient was basically where I grew up, Herculaneum, Missouri. The principal industry was lead smelting there. Okay,
Oh.
It was in our dirt. It was in our air. I mean, it was coming out of the big smokestack. It was coming in the dust coming off the trucks running up and down the street in front of us.
Oh,
When we
yeah,
had
yeah.
our house tested. It was way off the charts.
I saw a documentary thing about one of those towns recently on history or whatever, and
Well-
it poisoned everybody. Like,
Absolutely. Well, I was back in 2003, 2004. I was on 2020 and a couple of things. because
maybe it
of
was
that.
your town.
But,
Right.
I
But the
can't remember the
interesting
town
thing
name, but it
about
was
that
awesome.
was it was exposure to heavy metals.
Yeah, the lead, right.
One thing that hemp is particularly good at doing is pulling heavy metals out of
Out
soil.
of the soil. We can
They're using
regenerate our
hemp in
ground.
Chernobyl.
Right.
You know, it pulls it from the soil, so we can take and cleanse the soil. The place that made me sick, we can go back there and we can make that a
Right,
healthy
and
place
make
again.
it healthy.
Again.
We can reclaim the desert.
We can do so many
That would be
things.
amazing. You imagine if we that would be like world record breaking thing is to reclaim a desert. It's never been done in the history of man that we have record of. Reclaiming a desert. Desert's gone. Desert's desert.
Well, it's just cannabis has the capacity to heal us and heal our land.
I know, it's
You know,
amazing.
what was it? The one paraphrasing Indian prophecy they called cannabis. They called it the tree that would heal the nations. You know, I mean, there's absolutely no reason for us not to. Cannabis is non-toxic. And if someone tells you it is, they're lying. It's been proven by science. Cannabis is non-toxic. There's no reason that it should be illegal.
There's no reason there should be prohibition on something that our own body treats as food. Our own bodies it passes right through the liver, right through the
It
everything,
actually
and it's stored in your
clears-
body.
I smoke cigarettes and it clears the gunk and tar and crap out of my lungs.
There was a study done a number of years back, and it was
crazy.
done by a guy by the Dr. Taskin. And the whole purpose of the study was he was actually hired by NIDA, National Institute of Drug Abuse, to prove that cannabis would cause lung cancer. And after this lengthy study, what it actually proved is if you do smoke cigarettes, you damn well better be smoking cannabis, because
Right.
if you smoke cannabis, you have less chance of developing lung cancer than people who smoke nothing at all.
I know.
Cancer is
I mean, it's just so mind-blowing. This is like a miracle, which would make sense why they want to control and own and regulate it for themselves, because it is a freaking miracle plant, and they don't want the people to have it, and it is the people's. It's the people's food.
Absolutely. Cannabis is a vascular dilator. It's also a bronchial dilator, and the number of people I have known with issues like cystic fibrosis, COPD, asthma, who now they use cannabis rather than using harmful, dangerous drugs to control these conditions. Because again, we are medicating with a food. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to harm you. It's going to make you better. It's going to heal your body. It's going to make you better.
Now, to novices, of course, that need these kind of, need this kind of assistance in order to, get better or see some improvement. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, those folks in your whole initiative, your movement, they get education so that they're not, unaware of effects or what the dosage should be for their needs and that kind of thing for the people on the medical side.
Absolutely.
And
here's the thing you have to understand about cannabis. Okay, people use cannabis recreationally. We titrate by the high. Is basically what it is. So in other words, You use cannabis until you get high and you stop, right?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. That's what we all do. That's what we all do.
I put the bowl down.
Exactly.
It could be half full.
Well, where we found the miracles is when we took it another level up. The interesting thing is that the body adjusts to cannabis very rapidly. So the children responded to cannabis far more quickly. You know, like we had people say, "Oh my God, you're getting those children high." No, the doctors were getting those children high on adult doses of morphine and Oxycontin. We're talking about children under the age of 1.
And they're giving them oxycodones, addictive, highly addictive, man-made synthetic garbage.
One of our kids, his name is Isaiah. They brought Isaiah to us. He was a little over about 2.5 years old. Okay, he came in. He was in full seizure when they brought him into our living room. And the father, it was all the father could do just to hang on to him as he was flailing about and his head flopping back and forth. And he came in and sat down in our living room. And we had already prepared a pediatric regimen for Isaiah, which basically amounted to roughly about a gram of cannabis oil that I had prepared to a ounce of a high-grade olive oil. So there was 8 ounces total in there, you know, as far as that's the way it was made. And so we sat down with them and we visited with them a little bit and talked to them about giving them some education.
Right.
What you just said was dead on. Education is absolutely important. We talked with them a little bit and assured them that the cannabis was going to be safe for the child. The mom said, "Can I give him a dose right now?" And we said, sure you can. And so she drew it up in a needleless syringe, drew up a dose of the cannabis oil, and proceeded to put it in sublingually in between the child's teeth and gum.
Right.
Then I watched the child for the next 3 minutes. I just sat there and watched it as he was moving about, his eyes all over the place. Right at 3 minutes, he stopped. He just stopped. And he started looking at everyone around the room and scanning everybody around the room. And then his dad spoke. And he just very matter of fact turned on his father's lap and looked right into his father's eyes. His father's eyes got as big as saucers, and looking back, he goes, "He's never done that before." Isaiah was on a dose of a drug called Lamictal. Lamictal is it's an adult drug that's used for bipolar, and it's also off-label for children 2 years up to 14 months or some stuff. I have talked with adults who've been on Lamictal, and a year after they've been off, still having issues from it. Lamictal also causes seizures. So they gave him, in treatment for his seizures, a drug that causes seizures. So in the course of the time that followed, we not only were treating his seizures, but had to treat the withdrawals of the drugs that the doctors said were
already got him hooked on.
Exactly.
Can I be the protagonist asshole here and say, wow, there's a lot of people that we are supposed to be honoring and respecting. They're supposed to be in charge of our safety, and they're poisoning us.
They took oaths. What about the oaths they took?
Is that something I just said that. It sounds like we're being frickin' poisoned is what it sounds like to me. Wow. I could not even fathom like giving some kind of hard, narcotic to a child. You know what I mean? Man-made drugs.
We do it all the time.
We know have bad side effects, that we know cause...
The problem here is, particularly when you're dealing with special needs kids, doctors feel that they can experiment.
Right. It's like I got a living lab rat.
Right. They don't count.
It's disgusting.
Talking about Autumn,
Well,
Autumn has sodium channelopathy, genetic disorder with prolonged seizures. She is often in the PICU as the medications used to control her seizures causes respiratory and cardiac arrest.
Absolutely.
Autumn's neurologists have run out of options for her treatment. Autumn's pediatrician, her own pediatrician, wants to be able to give Autumn cannabis oil to treat her seizures, but it's against the law. They can't. Autumn is just one of many patients who are suffering needlessly due to the prohibition of cannabis. We got to take the prohibition away from cannabis altogether. Altogether.
She's the cutest little gal.
Oh, she's wonderful.
But the last time she was in full seizure, they had to rush her to the hospital because they couldn't. It's like
they give her medications that stop her heart to bring her out of the seizure.
Right. Oh, we'll stop the seizure. Let's just kill her for a second.
We'll just stop her heart for a minute. Stop her heart. Instead of giving her cannabis oil, who Mark has seen with his own eyes, the kid that came right out of it within 3 minutes. It was flailing. We just talked about it.
Yeah, and the thing that the dark side, I will call, constantly uses their argument is that there is no hard science evidence, and there's more than an abundance, an overabundance of hard evidence.
People just need to wake up.
To the contrary. So
I mentioned my partner Regina Nelson. This past year, she was she was asked to present at the International Cannabinoid Research Symposium in Italy, and just remarkable. They are the things they're not talking about whether or not cannabis is medicine. They're talking about what new things. Because again, too, what we're talking here, what propels these things is unfortunately the pharmaceutical industry.
Israel has cannabis oil on their trucks, their ambulances.
Yeah. What?
Israel.
In Israel.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. They've
got cannabis
for traumatic brain injuries.
But what about now? See, laws are different in Israel and Pakistan and that area of the world. I mean, they have the right to
fund Israel.
Smoking of certain things anyway for religious purpose and other stuff.
Tremendous amount of research comes out of Israel. A lot of it because of Raphael Meshulam, because he is there and because he propels much of the research. But it's what we're seeing over, like I was just mentioning to you about my partner Regina Nelson. She was at the International Cannabinoid Research Symposium in Italy, and it's like when she came in there to present, a lot of the other people, like I said, they were from pharmaceutical industry and there are different researchers around the world. They gathered around her because around the world they are experimenting on pigs and mice and rats, and little baby piglets, and they wanted to talk to her because we work with children. We work with actual humans. So
so they're like, what research do you have? What have you found in your trials?
But it's fascinating because there's no question that cannabis is medicine. It's what have we learned? What new things can we do with cannabis? And cannabis is doing the most remarkable things. One of the children that I have worked with, was a child called her name is Nova Lee. And when I first found out about her, she was just a little over 2 years old, I believe. She's about 3 now. Nova Lee was born with an illness called schizencephaly. They lived in Austin, Texas. With schizencephaly, she was born with only 24% of her brain, and also a non-functioning pituitary gland.
Wow.
She started having seizures roughly at about 6 months, and they quickly became uncontrollable with most pharmaceutical drugs. The doctors really at one point came down to it. They only found 2 things that they felt they could do for her, and these are the surgeons there. They were going to give her a drug that would blind her. And they said, well, it doesn't matter because babies born with schizencephaly, this kind of goes into what we talked about experimenting.
Right.
Babies born with schizencephaly have a narrowed optic nerve. So she's probably legally blind anyway. So what's it going to matter? We'll give it to her anyway. The other thing that they wanted to do to her, they considered doing, was to remove 2/3 of what she had left of her brain. Without
what the hell is that going to stop?
With no promise whatsoever that it would stop her seizures. So what the parents decided
they're just wanting a surgery operation dummy is all they're looking for.
Insanity. So what this young couple, they were poor, they didn't have any money or anything, they opted to do, they took virtually all their earthly possessions out and stacked them by the dumpster, just loaded into the car just what they absolutely needed, mostly to care for their disabled child, and headed for Colorado. And we got in touch with each other while they were in transit. And roughly about 4 days later, the mom showed up in my place, and we had already prepared a cannabis regimen for little Nova. At that point, she took it back home with her, and first dose Now understand that the surgeons, the specialists in Austin, they told her there's absolutely no scientific way that my oil could have any effect on her seizures. We stopped her seizures the first dose.
Wow.
She continued to have seizures, but the cannabis oil functioned as an excellent rescue dose for her and brought her out of the seizures very quickly. Also, over the course of time, her seizures got less and less. But here's the cool thing is that after that first dose, the first 4 days, her eyes, which were wandering about independently all over the place, her eyes became fixed. She started tracking her mom and dad around the room, following them with her eyes around the room. She started lifting her head up. Constant seizures, she couldn't learn how to even hold her head up.
Right.
She was learning how to hold her head up. Then she was learning how to stand with her dad's help. She's taking and mimicking sounds. Her mother got to hear the word "mommy" for the first time here, just roughly about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Wow, that's amazing.
This child.
That's amazing. And they were going to butcher her.
Absolutely.
Oh, so disgusting.
It's just been roughly about a week and a half or so ago. Understand, her pituitary is supposed to be non-existent.
Right.
That's responsible for growth hormone.
Right.
All those kinds of things. All these different functions across our body. Our thyroid.
Right.
She started producing growth hormone. She was supposed to, for the rest of her life, be on steroids. She's not on them. We don't know what her potential is.
You know, my whole life changed when I stopped drinking fluorinated water. You know, it's just, but what I'm saying is people don't think, you know, things like that. Like I've quit smoking before. Mm-hmm. You quit smoking, you know, it's a hell getting there, but once you've done it, like, you just feel reinvigorated. Like, you
taste food again.
Yeah, like all kinds of things that you didn't realize you can smell. Yeah, I mean, I've had friends that have quit recently and told me, man, I'm smelling stuff again. And, you know, of course, I forget. I've smoked for the last 10 years. But
does anybody have any questions?
I've got them ramping up questions here.
I want to throw this out here before we get going too far.
Yeah, go ahead and read that, and I'm going to turn the show on in here so that we can double check the audio.
Awesome. Okay.
I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
You guys come out and meet a real American hero, Mark Pedersen, Thursday, April 16th, 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at Midtown Carnegie Library. That's 937 East Central Street, Springfield, Missouri. We also have another event he'll be speaking at, and that is Friday, the 17th, at the Belgian Waffle House at 1882 James River Road, Ozark, Missouri. He'll be on the Nick Reed Show.
Yeah, Nick Reed.
8 o'clock to 8:30. He'll be speaking from 8:10 to 8:20. We have...
Come out and see us. We'll be there.
Yeah, we have the room after the show till 11 a.m. Please come out, meet Mark, sign the petition, learn more about this. We also have... Friday evening, we have an event in Nixa.
Nixa, Missouri. I can't wait to see you, Nixa. We're going to have a good time in Nixa.
Nixa is the Nixa Meeting Event Center, and it's at 421 West South Street, Nixa, Missouri. And that's from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Like I said, bring your friends, your family, your church people, bring your ministers, pastors. Bring
your questions.
If you're a cannabis patient, please come. I want to meet you.
Yeah, yeah.
If you have a chronic terminal illness, come. Let's talk.
Right. If you do anything, if you would want to meet us, come talk to us. We're approachable.
I have just a little bit of time free for Mark during his schedule while he's here in Springfield. If you contact me, Hillbilly Hippie of the Ozarks, at Facebook or Messenger, or Southwest Missouri Cannabis Restoration and Protection Act. If you message one of us somewhere on here, we'll try to get up a time and meet up. Like so, we have just a very little bit of time that he's free. If you have questions, would like to talk,
don't forget to
come meet a real American hero, guys.
Don't forget to go to the www.cannabisrestorationandprotectionact.org to find out how you can get involved, no matter where you're at.
It takes all of us to make this happen.
It really does. It's going to take a village.
Sitting back going, yeah, I want change, and not getting up and actually helping and petitioning and trying to educate people.
Well,
guys, it takes money to do what we're trying to do. And, I'm sorry, but I have to ask. We need money.
Yeah,
we need help, guys. We need help. If every person who uses cannabis in the state of Missouri was to send us $5, we would have enough money to win this campaign. We could make this happen.
We're fighting some evil forces.
Well, the fact of the matter is
the government.
We are taking this is a grassroots campaign. We are operating on practically nothing. There's a whole lot of us who basically have nothing. But we can really make something happen here, something that's going to affect not only us, but our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. We will not just a matter of keeping them out of jail, but healing them of their cancers, their different disorders, making them healthier, making our land healthier.
No, those are also valid points. Is the people have mentioned about in a decriminalized setting. What about the children for decriminalized marijuana? And then the other question and being incarcerations and those people that are being held either now or in the future for possession or use of marijuana, or
with our initiative, that all goes away.
Let's talk about one of those. Let's talk about our children. Because I have been asked the question, what about our children? If we legalize cannabis, what about our children? What are we going to do? How do we protect our children? I was asked this question, and it got me thinking a lot about it. Because I'll mention the one part, was that some of our adversaries had made the statement. They said, well, under your bill, anyone, an 8-year-old child can walk into a store and buy a bag of cannabis and walk out with it. And so it kind of got me thinking. So I went down to the local dollar store. And I started taking pictures, and I can show them to you on my camera here.
Yeah.
But started taking pictures at an 8-year-old's height. What I started finding was I saw cold medicines, I saw painkillers, I saw birth control. And in the one picture I'm going to be showing it, or my one presentation up there, you can look on down at the end of the aisle, and there are bottles of bleach.
And rat poison.
Right down on the floor. Yeah, and then you go a circle around the corner, you see mice and rat poison. Fully right there. A child, an 8-year-old child or even younger, could actually get contaminated, could get poisoned without even leaving a store.
Right.
Okay, I urge your listeners, go down to your local stores and see if I'm not correct. Go to the convenience marts or local grocery store or Lowe's.
Yeah.
Go to any of these places and see if it's not true.
8-year-old height.
So it kind of got me thinking, and I got thinking about this.
What's dangerous to an 8-year-old is that an 8-year-old's height in the place that you shop and buy.
Absolutely.
That's a good question. I'd like to see some of that too, by the way.
Then I took and I went to the bottles of the food, the containers of food, and you look at the ingredients on the food, and very quickly you realize cannabis is non-toxic. Cannabis is safer than virtually anything that 8-year-old child would have walked out there with.
Soda, or even a soda.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
Energy drinks, all the rest of the things are available.
Soda causes diabetes from extended exposure, artificial fats that get stored in your system, causing a bad metabolic rate and overweight and obesity, and your body don't pass it. But, like soda alone is worse than cannabis.
So I thought, we have all these different toxins. And then, case in point, I know of very few medicine cabinets and cleanser cabinets, household cleanser cabinets that bear a padlock.
Right.
Why do more of our children don't get poisoned? There are two reasons. Whether it's parental guidance for children.
Right.
Personal accountability for adults.
Right.
Why don't you drink gasoline? Because it's not something you want to do. Well, cannabis is a non-toxic substance. Even if your child eats it, it's not going to kill them, not going to harm them.
Right.
So, but the fact is what really all this comes down to is not toxicity, but euphoria. What do people have an issue with cannabis? They have a problem with euphoria. Well, if you don't want your child experiencing euphoria from cannabis, you're not going to be harming your child. But if you don't want your child experiencing euphoria, that's your right as a parent.
Right.
So you need to instill your personal belief system,
your belief into your child.
Personal responsibility.
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah.
What's
Hold on. The $1 million answer to this whole, to paraphrase, parent your kid.
There you go.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Wait a minute, sir.
Yeah. I got to be the backhand antagonist. You know. But you know, seriously, I mean, this sounds like the alternative is continued poisons, continued unnecessary jail times.
Man, let's clean.
Continued unnecessary. The negative side. What happens if these initiatives don't get pushed through? That's what you got. Poisons for your kid, them wanting to hack your kid's brain up because your child happens to be in a bad situation. And it's utterly disgusting and in my opinion, very primitive method of thinking.
Well, you know,
for our country being so educated and our leadership being so educated, they all take the fifth if you ask them about marijuana. I'm like, what are you, a freaking moron? A 10-year-old nowadays knows the truth about marijuana. I mean, it's.
Why are we running from the
kind
truth?
of sticking up for the doctors.
Why are we running from the truth?
Medicine.
Why are so many people willing to put prohibition on the truth? That's the question. What do people have to gain from putting prohibition on the truth?
Well, all the profit.
The truth is
because if they continue to push it as a schedule-controlled drug, and you can get it through them on tax and stamp, then they're still making the money, so they don't care.
The truth is, with the Missouri Cannabis Restoration and Protection Act, it is nothing less than total legalization. We can clean. Missouri will be #1 in the cannabis industry because we can clean our soil. There's a lot of dirty soil in Missouri. We can start our industries with the plastic bottles, with the oils, with the fuels. Henry Ford in 1938, I believe. I could be wrong. I'm going to get letters on that. Made the whole a total hemp vehicle, and the whole body was made out of hemp. It ran on hemp oil.
I think I heard about that. Yeah.
And I think 125-pound man took a sledgehammer and was hitting it in the side, and it never scratched it. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine what that would do for people's daughters learning to drive? I have daughters. When they learn to drive, I'm not going to have to worry about her scratching because she's going to have something hemp that's strong. No more dinging.
She's not going to scratch the car.
Right?
Hemp.
Right?
That's some solid state stuff.
Why not? But the truth of it is, there's a whole industry that our initiative will open up only to Missourians. If you can get no residential anything. Whereas in Colorado, you got to be there a year or 90 days, a year, something like that. Here, as long as you can get to Missouri, you can be healed, and it will be bigger than the California gold rush.
Cannabis represents to the Midwest literally $1 trillion industry.
As
I already said, in China alone, it's over $200 billion industry just for paper.
Yeah, just for paper.
We can grow in the Midwest. We can grow a much even far more varied.
And worst case scenario, we can just eat it.
Right? Hey, if the lights go out, it's the one thing that we can survive on.
Right? I would say, all of our food stores are getting poisoned, and then
yeah, it's just like
your cannabis growers are a little more natural. They're not going to put poisons on there.
Well, right now we have to understand that cannabis is not immune. Monsanto has just patented their first strain of cannabis.
That's disheartening.
This is things that we have to guard. We have to guard our health and not let it slide back. When I wrote this bill, I thought long and hard about a total repeal, about doing a referendum, and we had the capacity to be able to do that. The only problem is I realized the moment that we repealed it, the following year, the lawmakers would come right back, and they would take and heavily regulate it and turn it into something else yet again. I realized I had to take and amend the Constitution of the state of Missouri, set it in stone, the protections, so that we would never have to go back through this ever again. So, and that's the reason why I wrote it the way I did. I also put in protections for medical use, so because people who have chronic and terminal illness have suffered enough. They shouldn't have to pay high excise taxes and jump through hoops to be able to get the medicine that they need. You know, cannabis is much more. Like I said, I've been a cannabis user for 18 years. Cannabis is my Tylenol. Cannabis is my Tums. Cannabis is my medicine. We incorporate it into our food because it is a food, and it was always meant to be a food. So
that's amazing.
We have a bottle of olive oil that is infused with cannabis oil.
Right.
That sits beside our stove that we use whenever we cook. What you see me here, this is me stoned. Okay, I don't get hot.
Everyone's like, no way.
I don't get hot. And this is unfortunate for some people who enjoy the high. Believe me, I enjoyed the high. I miss it.
Oh, and the other thing, there's also the subculture high slang, like taking some to an extreme. Mm-hmm. The potheads of lazy. There are those guys. You get what I'm saying? Well, my argument is a lazy pothead would be a lazy non-pothead.
Exactly. Thank you for that, because that's what we find is we find that cannabis energizes people. It helps people function better. My partner Regina Nelson, I just finished my first edit, her second book. There is no one who smokes more than my partner Regina. Hey Regina. Anyway, Regina is this very intelligent person. You would realize that in the first 30 seconds that you met her.
Right.
The smartest people on this planet use cannabis. Excuse me, I can prove that one too.
Yeah, right. And that's been the case throughout history, honestly.
Absolutely.
That's been an ongoing.
Cannabis has been very much a part of the United States long before we were, even when we were colonies. Of course, you probably heard it said already, the very first laws regarding cannabis had nothing to do with penalties for using it. It actually basically was a penalty if you cultivated anything, you were required by law to cultivate cannabis.
Yep.
Right.
So,
well, they also used it. It was a staple to reinvigorate the soil of their off-crop field.
Mm-hmm.
So those who know farming know that you rotate your crop fields year to year with a different genus or species of plants. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't grow a particular plant that was off balance to the last harvest that you had in that field, they would generally just fill it with hemp. And it would take the poisons, the bad hard metals out of the soil so that the following year, boom. And back then, they actually textiled the plant. Mm-hmm. They just used it for...
Well, cannabis has been used, like I said, for medicine for well over 6,000 years. It's documented. It's been food for humanity. It's always been there. That's, we kind of joked around about it a little bit about cannabis being responsible for evolution. I don't want to take that too far, but yes, I have talked to more than a few people who believe that. But most importantly is that cannabis has provided us some means to avoid to dodge some bullets per se.
Yeah.
Hello, son. I'm in the middle of an interview. I'll talk to you later. You're listening to Beer 420. We've got a question here on the chat.
Okay.
Shirley asks, is there a test or standard to grade or categorize medical cannabis? Like if someone has a strain that they think has excellent medical qualities, how would you go about validating that claim?
Well,
that's a very good question.
Yeah,
wow.
It's an excellent question. Well, of course, it kind of depends. Like if you're talking from a dispensary level. Now, if you're talking Colorado, this is an interesting thing. Only dispensaries can do testing. We're in the process of trying to change that right now. So But to be able to test.
So basically, the weed guys that they're trying to say aren't going to be skilled if they pass their changing of the grade, which will then make them have to be pharmacists in order to even be listened to.
Well,
but as of right now, they control it.
It's a lot of really ridiculousness.
That's weird.
Well, in case of what you're talking about, one of the biggest concerns is that within the cannabis industry is becoming so big financially so quickly. Now they are actually controlling policy. They are writing the policy. And that's what I was talking about. Writing policy that basically continues to do away with home cultivation.
They're doing it themselves.
Exactly.
They're like, man, we're making a killing. Let's cut out everyone else.
Exactly.
So they're doing what they were fighting against other people doing to them, and now they're trying to do it to everyone else.
Caregivers in the state of Colorado and home growers have not had the right, the lawful right to be able to get their cannabis tested to find out exactly what it is. There's an answer to that question too. What I'm trying to say is that whenever we talk about cannabis in medicine, there's been a lot of talk about strain specific to treat specific illnesses.
Right.
And though that is true to a certain degree, in reality, what we're really talking about are cannabinoid levels, THC versus CBD, CBN.
And then those have their different effects specifically on the human body, which, and then depending on what levels where is kind of where.
To give you some understanding, when you hear a lot about THC, you hear a great deal about CBD right now. Okay?
Right.
And there's been bills passed in a number of different states, like here in Missouri, there's a CBD bill, Georgia, Utah, Florida's got a CBD. All these states, they passed through these CBD bills because they said that, well, CBD doesn't get you high. So, but it's still every bit as good as THC. It's not true. None of that is true. THC fits the endocannabinoid receptors kind of like a skeleton key. So by doing that, it also opens the receptors, helps to cause the generation of new endocannabinoids and new endocannabinoid receptors. So THC is absolutely vital. CBD is also very important as well, but it doesn't fit the receptor. It kind of hangs out away from the receptor. And it has other purposes, particularly like when we talked about some of the children I care for and their withdrawal from toxic pharmaceuticals.
Right.
CBD is particularly beneficial in aiding the withdrawal from those pharmaceuticals. Also, too, THC and CBD work very well together as anti-cancer benefit. So, in determining the strains, yes, unfortunately, a lot of times it's kind of a hit and miss. But understanding an even profile THC to CBD seems to be quite effective for most people.
Now, is there a way that somebody could gauge that themselves if they were? I mean, how are they doing that? They're doing it in a lab and they're just running tests on those levels.
No, nothing like that.
Really?
Nothing like that. No, it's the same way any of us do. You try different strains until you find one that works the best for you. Now, but when you're talking cannabis oil, we're talking a concentrate, so you're taking that to a different level, okay?
Okay.
Because when you're just smoking cannabis, you're not taking in the concentrate. You're just taking the cannabinoids like that. When you smoke, you roughly get about 10 to 15% benefit of the cannabinoids found within that. When you now you stepped up and say like you're eating an edible, you're going to get benefit roughly somewhere between 25 to, I'm going to get it wrong, close to 50%, 25 to 50%. I'm sorry?
Vaporizing?
Vaporizing would be comparable to smoking.
Okay.
The highest benefits through sublingual dosing because you actually bypass the liver and stomach.
Right.
When you eat cannabis,
which will filter out a bunch of.
When you eat cannabis, your stomach and your liver are going to kill some of the endocannabinoids that you're taking into your system. So you're not going to get 100%. You get much higher through a sublingual benefit or through a suppository.
In the side, between the teeth and gum.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. You're pointing, and I'm like, he was pointing at his teeth and gum.
Yeah,
Side of his
you can
mouth.
see I do radio.
For those who don't know the technical term, which what did you call it?
Sublingual. Sublingual.
Sublingual. Okay.
It's actually between the teeth and gum is actually called something different, but when you're dealing with a child or you're dealing with somebody who's in the midst of seizure, trying to put something under the tongue is very difficult to do.
Right.
But
you might get bit.
We have known the number of people who have gotten very badly from that. I think he lose a finger.
Yeah.
And we had actually an adult who was dosed with my oil and beat out the paramedics before the paramedics could get there. Got him out of seizure before the paramedics could get there.
Oh!
But
That's always a good
but the
point.
partner got bit in the process too. So.
Ouch.
But, of course,
now
the paramedics were wondering what that black stuff was in his mouth.
What? Oh wow. I got another question here. What about gun control with cannabis patients, and what about vets with PTSD and owning a hunting rifle?
With our initiative, none of that changes.
Thank you. Absolutely none of that changes.
With any other initiative, your rights could very well be violated.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like in the state of Colorado, like so many places, if you go in and get a permit, it asks you on the permit, do you smoke marijuana? And consequently, a lot of people, that turns them off very quickly, and I cannot blame them for that. That is prohibition. That line in itself is a prohibitionist line, because basically it's saying that if you use cannabis, then you can't be trusted with a handgun or weapon of any kind.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
Right.
Their laws have been drafted in such that if you own a handgun, if you're here in Missouri and you own a handgun and you have cannabis and they come in, they search your home, they find a boat, they can charge you more because you own a handgun, even if you are not caught in the midst of a crime of any kind. It's ridiculous. It's a violation. Yes, it is fascist. It's a violation of your civil rights, and it needs to be seen as that.
Yeah,
it needs to be stopped.
Definitely is.
Veterans,
with our initiative, that will be taken care of.
Veterans in particular are a very important issue for me. We lose 26 veterans every day to suicide. Cannabis is post-traumatic stress is anxiety. Cannabis is perhaps the single best treatment for anxiety. By denying that of our veterans, we are basically sentencing them to death.
To death.
And I can make that statement because I've interviewed enough veterans on camera. I've interviewed veterans from Vietnam to Iraq to Afghanistan.
Prohibition is killing our vets, killing our soldiers. The VA is turning away our soldiers. If they use cannabis, they're kicked out of the VA.
Now, that has changed to a degree. Now, in states that have medical programs, thanks to a good friend of mine by the name of Michael Kravitz, a remarkable man in his work with the veterans.
here in Missouri.
He has gotten, the Veterans Administration has written a letter now basically stating that if a veteran uses cannabis within a state that has a medical cannabis program, that your cannabis will be treated the same as any pharmaceutical.
So
that was a good ground.
I know that they're still kicking them out here in Missouri.
Well, again, too, you have no cannabis program here in the state of Missouri. And I'm sorry, but the CBD program that was passed is not legalization and is not going to open up cannabis to be available to everyone. It's only a select group of people who have access. It'll be very limited. So it's a racket. I'm sorry. See, the CBD thing, the CBD bills have been passed all around the country. It's a racket because they're making promises that are not true. CBD and hemp are not necessarily the same, and industrial hemp are not necessarily the same thing. If you grow industrial hemp, does not mean you're growing CBD. You can grow industrial hemp, medical cannabis. You're talking sativa, indica, ruderalis. It's all
the
one
same plant.
Trying to call it different things is wrong. It doesn't matter. I don't care if states are passing stupid bills saying that anything rated below a 0.3% is hemp. Can I say bullshit?
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, you can say it.
It's still the same plant.
Plants that are cannabis used for industrial purposes can fluctuate, can be high in THC or low in THC. You can go out to a field of industrial hemp. It will be different as far as the THC content on one part of the field than the other part.
Because of pollination and cross pollination, or
because the cannabinoids found within the plant have no bearing on what it's being used for. Whether it's being used for industrial purposes or using it for medical purposes, the cannabinoids found within the plant are there for the health of the plant. Just like our endocannabinoid system is in us for the purpose of our health, to regulate its functions. To manipulate them and say because you manipulated them that now that is the way that species is ridiculous.
Monsanto!
It's like trying to say you can control chaos theory in itself.
Right. Well,
it'll break free and do its own thing. So even though they're trying to say it's not one thing or the other, it actually is one and the same. And
they came up with a 0.3% THC rating for industrial hemp. Was basically somebody in Europe basically made it up. That was adopted by the hempsters in Canada. Then the activists, the hempsters in the United States saw that and said,
is that anything like the yippies and the yuppies? The yuppies and the yippies?
Bunch of really awesome people, man. They're taking and developing, working, still keeping things alive as far as textiles and stuff and building materials and all these awesome things going on. But the problem is it was a fallacy. It was a fallacy perpetrated by activists who meant well by what they were doing. But the fact is, dividing the plant into artificial industrial hemp over on one side and over on this other side is recreational and over on another side is medical. It's ridiculous. It's
all the same plant.
It always has been, all through time, been one plant that can be grown and cultivated for a multitude of different purposes. That's what's cool about it. And we're seeing it all go full circle because we're seeing these strains, strains that other people that they were using for industrial hemp. Now they're coming back and they're breeding them with strains that are high in CBD and high in other cannabinoids and coming up with some really marvelous combinations.
Wow! So
cannabis grows all over the world.
Right.
All kinds of variations. There are so many variations in cannabis. Cannabis that's currently being used for medical purposes. All of these variations that were being used for industrial purposes. Even here, I stood in fields in Nebraska, fields of hemp, with a hemp geneticist who we flew in from Wisconsin. We stood in this as he took and went and it was describing all of the different variations that were growing there within just 1 acre. From plants that were squatty and that were had purple leaves on them to plants that were over 15, almost 20 feet tall. And he would run up and they were all blooming at the time, all feral. Been growing there since cannabis was legal up there.
Wow.
But they still retained all these individualized traits. And he'd walk up and he would grind one of the tops in his fingers. He said, "Smell this one." And then he'd go, "Oh, look at that one over there." And we'd walk across the way and he'd take another one, grind it, and say, "Smell completely different." One would have a piney smell. Another would have another smell. Lemony smell. Another
crazy.
All these different variations, all found there within a very small little area. We took our cameras and focused out the window, and we drove for miles filming the feral hemp in the fence rows. Cannabis was grown during World War II. It was called hemp for victory. They actually tried to hide that from us all. Tried to hide the history of that.
Yeah.
They made it legal for a short while during the war because we needed it for the war effort.
Huh. What did they do with it?
We needed it for rope. Rope and all the different products we used for that. Yeah. That was one of the main reasons. That is, and I contend that perhaps the absolute most best reason why cannabis was made illegal back in 1937 was because DuPont had just taken and released nylon.
Yeah, that's
2
the
years
information
before.
I heard. You told me the Nixon.
That was in 1970. That had to do with the
Right,
Controlled
that's
Substance
where
Act.
it got locked down with the substance control stamp.
Right, exactly.
But previous to that, its beginning downslide was what you were just
DuPont.
about.
Well, it began
DuPont.
It actually began in roughly, I believe it was about 19. I'm going to get it wrong, but I believe it was 1907 with the first, where it was made illegal in California first, which is rather ironic.
Right.
It was made, and then it was stepped through several states before it was made federally illegal. And basically, it wasn't made illegal. They passed the Marijuana Stamp Act, which was basically you had to have purchase stamps in order to possess it, but you had to possess it in order to purchase the stamps. So it made it very bizarre. But
they just did that like in the 90s or late 90s here. Maybe it was early 2000s. They were telling it was called the pot tax, the pot stamp.
Well,
it was going around in Iowa. They were talking about it, Iowa City area.
Well,
they're like, oh, get your pot stamp, and then you can get your brother. Like, who's going to walk down with their pot first and get their pot stamp?
Right.
That's where it came from. It's from the
Marijuana
Stamp Act.
But I thought that was a trick. They were just trying to get all the pot smokers.
It is a trick.
It was
a dirty trick.
It absolutely was a trick. And I know people. I've seen the stamps before. People that actually purchased them before and stuff. But again, yeah, it was all right. But it really comes back to who was the one player within making it illegal who made the most money. DuPont has made literally trillions of dollars since making it illegal. You take a whole industry like the hemp industry, you take an entire industry and move it out of the way and move your own products in and take over. Hemp was $1 billion industry in 1937.
Yep.
So they
then
basically
why did
overnight,
those hucksters that were in charge of production give up all that wealth in a capitalist country to some other? You get what I'm saying? How did they? With that kind of money, how did they fold and lose control of the
propaganda?
More power, more greater power. Also, too, you look at the different people who are working together. Anslinger, who's the one who you hear the most about. Anslinger was our first drug czar. He served as our drug czar actually all the way through the 50s. Anslinger, he was the primary. He actually had nothing bad to say about cannabis initially. He had no issue with it at all until he realized the financial benefit. He was related by marriage to William Randolph Hearst. William Randolph Hearst's benefit in it was the fact that he owned acres and acres and acres of timberland that was for making paper.
Right.
Because he was a paper tycoon. He had newspapers all across the country.
But not very ingenious because trees are not as sustainable as marijuana crops are. You get what I'm saying? Marijuana crops grow quickly and over. You get mass production.
You heard the saying before,
he would have had
the money. Where's the money? His money was all invested in
trees. Yeah, but he was. That's what I don't get though. If he found out, if I was, a guy that was growing and whatever trees, and then I looked at the hemp industry, I would go, okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna take my tree industry and supplement it with some of these hemp. You get what I'm saying? Because it's more sustainable. It turns over faster. Like you're not having to wait 100 years for a damn tree to grow.
You're doing that dangerous thing called thinking.
Yeah, thinking.
Right?
Yeah, he obviously was not a man beyond his times for stepping against the hemp industry and not just joining on.
Anytime you start creating, you take and try to destroy an industry, you try to destroy people for the sake of your own wealth. I think you've taken a bad step karma-wise anyway. So.
Right. What music do you got today?
Well, I was going to start out with some clowning. Again, we're here with Nick. Bill stepped out of the room. Our resident hippie stepped out. And
Mark Pedersen.
We are here with Mark Pedersen, and he has been chatting us up very well, I might add. And I've learned, at least 4 or 5 things already since we've been chatting. But I've got some comedy lined up for you, and some humor, and some maybe not so humor. But here is my NRA public service announcement.
My name is Ted, and I'm a proud member of the NRA here in this United of States. That's the Nobody Removes My Armament group. Yes, you too can support this group and help protect our rights to shoot people that try to shoot you. It's time to stand up, America. They can take 30% of our paycheck. They can force us to buy corporate insurance. They can force half the population into welfare while the elite class parties in Cancun. But they sure as hell can't take my gun. This has been another Backhand Studios public service announcement.
Out of the vault, it's some kilobytes. We'll be right back with more Mark Pedersen and Nick. Nick Jimmy's out. He's out. Woo! Thank you for being here. We'll be right back, guys. Here's some kilobytes.
Good shit.
You're listening to Beer 420.
In terms of legalization of drugs, I think that the battle, the war on drugs has been an utter failure, and I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws. But I'm not somebody who believes in legalization of marijuana. What I do believe is that we need to rethink how we are operating in the drug wars, and I think that currently we are not doing a good job.
Currently, they're not doing a good job.
Oh, God, my tooth fell out.
Super News presents the Master Debaters. Tonight, marijuana and crystal meth will master debate about drugs. 3, 2, 1, Master Debate!
I guess I'll start by saying that I think there are good drugs and bad drugs, and it's time we started differentiating between the two. Exactly. We're good drugs, man. So let's stop the insanity, and finally legalize crystal meth. That's a horrible idea. Well, no, but for medical reasons, of course. Medical meth? Yeah, man. If the doctors say it helps cure gout, then why not let Grandma gack out on some tweak, Okay, no doctor has ever said that. Did you hear that? Do you hear that right now? Oh, my God. What is that? What is that? Oh, God, wait, no, that's my heart. That's my heart. Wow, that's loud. You're made out of battery acid and drain cleaner. Hey, man, can I trust you? Because I think the government's against me. They should be. The CIA has an army of spies watching me 24/7, and that's why I hide in the bushes in front of my house every night with a steak knife. Folks, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Meth makes you paranoid and crazy, unlike pot, which is totally safe. Safe? That stuff takes away your motivation. I mean, do you even have a job? Like me, breaking down boxes at the Safeway 17, 18 hours a day? No, you don't. Okay, hold on one second. I need water. Just quick water. Come on, bro. Look, don't you want to have sex with strangers in truck stop bathrooms for money? How great does that sound? Oh, God, my tooth fell out. Don't you want to go to a Fish concert? No! Nobody wants to go to a Fish concert! No one wants to suck trucker dicks for money. And I thought you were cool. You were the gateway drug! Hey, come on. I'm still illegal on a federal level. See, okay, the states made me legal, but the federal government and the EPA were like, wait, no, the DEA was... The CIA is behind everything! Federal, them and the Masons! And it's all connected,
I'll be honest,
bro!
I don't know
And
who
they're
votes
always
on
watching
it,
us, so
but
there ain't nothing we can do! Because they know everything! You get what I'm saying? Wait, what were we talking about? I need to borrow $25,000 from you or someone you know. Why do you... Can you make that happen? No, I absolutely not. I need you to burn down my sister-in-law's house tonight. What? Tonight. And it's got to be tonight. Why does it have to be tonight? And I can't explain anything else to you. Okay, I should just let you talk because you're sort of digging your own grave. Are you going to help me or not? I think I won. Yeah, pretty sure I won.
You're going to talk about marijuana in any form. You're going to talk about green thumb. We'll be right back.
Planet awesome, that's where I like to be, where it's awesome. Just me and a ganja tree, clip you off one, and be all you can be on Planet Awesome. To be where it's awesome. Just me and a ganja tree, clip you off one, and be all you can be on Planet Awesome.
Breathe them, baby, check it out now.
Flip off one, I break it up, roll up, spark it up, playing that awesome. I split it, lick it, stick it to my mouth because it's so awesome. I hit and sip it, hold it in, blow it out. I'm high to the end, I'm lifted, gifted, join my friend. Off the planet awesome, here we go again. There's purple haze when I get off the plane. I pack a zigzag to the wooden tray. OG Kush is here to stay. Teacher all day, but what can I say? Welcome to the candy store, Maine. I'm known as the green thumb, okay? I put a seed in the dirt, catch some rays, walk in a herd. Wait some days and take you to church on Planet Awesome. That's where I like to be because it's awesome. Just me and a ganja tree. Clip you off one, smoke it up, be all you can be because it's awesome. Enjoy the taste, it's so fresh. Hold it in, expand your chest. You know there's no waste, I smoke the best. People bring me their weed to test and bless. Planet Awesome, that's where I like to be, where it's awesome. Just me and a ganja tree, clip you off one. Be all you can be on Planet Awesome. Planet Awesome, that's where I like to be, where it's awesome. Just me and a ganja tree, clip you off one. Be all you can be on Planet Awesome. Getting so high in the sky, floating away outer space. My spirit wasn't built to be broken. I'm choking dope smoke to keep my focus steady. I was born ready. It's your boy Paulette, so don't forget it. And you could bet it. I stay more blowed than Johnny Dead. And plus I also got a fetish for getting wetted. To ask dead brain, yeah, they got hood credit. I said boy, smoke loud cause it keeps me mellow. They say I got a green thumb but my nails is yellow. My P.O. told me to let go with the green, but man, hold up, he really don't know me. Ain't no need for a digi cause I score whole trees. Roll and blow on Z's till I OD on weed. Planet Awesome, that's where I like to be, where it's awesome. Just me and a ganja tree, clip you off one. Be all you can be on Planet Awesome. Planet Awesome, that's where I like to be, where it's awesome. Just me and a ganja tree, clip you off one. Be all you can be on Planet Awesome.
Warning, warning, warning. Adult content. Oh shit, it's Batman.
Remember, kids, Beer 420 contains strong language, strong sexual language, and the use of alcohol and marijuana. 18 and older.
2 Stop. Smoke my life away. Listen. Switches sweets on deck, you know I keep a loud pack. Hood rats want more cheese, well bitch I'm just a mousetrap. I paper chase all day and pray I never come back. And all I see is green, bitch, it's like I'm wearing contacts. Now break up that whole OZ and stuff that in them stogies. It's no sleep, get high as that eagle pussy, nosebleed. I'ma smoke my life away, that OG, that blow trees in my bitch. Wet my blunts with her pussy lips, that's so sweet. Yeah, we got the goods, we got the blood. All my niggas get high as fuck. Yeah. It's in the air. All my niggas get high as fuck. Smoke my life away. All my niggas get high as fuck. We got the goods, we got the blood, we got the blood. All my niggas get high as fuck. It's in the air. All my niggas get high as fuck. Smoke my life away. All my niggas get high as fuck. I stepped up in the club. Bling, bling, push my hoodie back. I'm similar to Tweety Bird, looking for that booty tag. Wolfpack in the back of the club, blowing goodie sacks. Fuck the VIP, you can catch us where the hood Let's go. Blaze one when we wake up, never ask a bitch for C-Bell 4. I got 12 strokes, same bitch I stay on point just like an elbow. I'm a light nigga with heavyweight, don't ask me what they sell for. My blunt is like fire alarms, loud as fuck. You smell smoke? We got the goods. We got the blood. Turn up. All my niggas get high as fuck. Yeah. It's in the air. All my niggas get high as fuck. Smoke my life away.
So inside of we got the kush. When it's time to smoke my life away, I know that God come through. He got it. That OG cushion perks to the brain say pink look blue. To the brain say pink look blue. Lady boss cloud 9, high as fuck but I'm making moves.
We got the kush. We got the blood. All my niggas get high as fuck. It's in the air. All my niggas get high as fuck. Smoke my life away. All my niggas get high as fuck. We got the good. We got the blood. All my niggas get high as fuck. It's in the air. All my niggas get high as fuck. Smoke my life away. All my niggas get high as fuck.
A clip from Dr. Sanjay Gupta's documentary, Weed, which airs on CNN this Sunday night. Sanjay spent a year investigating the fight over medical marijuana. More and more Americans are using it. Just a few days ago, Washington, D.C. opened up its first medical marijuana dispensary. And CNN's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, joins me now. Sanjay, welcome to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, come on, you've been looking at this for a year, and I want to remind you that in 2009, you wrote a Time magazine article entitled Why I Would Vote No on Pot. You've changed your mind.
I have, and as part of my thinking recently, I've apologized for some of the earlier reporting because I think we've been terribly and systematically misled in this country for some time, and I did part of that misleading. If you look at all the papers that are written in the United States about marijuana, the vast majority of them are about the harm. That we fund studies on harm, we don't fund studies on benefit nearly as much. So it gives a distorted picture. But I didn't look far enough, I didn't look deep enough, I didn't look at labs in other countries that are doing some incredible research. I didn't listen to the chorus of patients who said, not only does marijuana work for me, it's the only thing that works for me. I took the DEA at their word when they said it's a Schedule I substance and has no medical applications. There was no scientific basis for them to say that.
So when New York Mayor Bloomberg was quoted as saying medical marijuana is the greatest hoax of all time, what do you say to him?
I'm surprised. I follow a lot of the mayor's comments quite closely. I listen to those comments as well. As part of those same comments, he was saying that the potency of marijuana has gone up. That is true. It has gone up probably over the last several years. But I urge him to look at the scientific papers. I was just looking at them again in preparation for your show. The science is there. This isn't anecdotal. This isn't in the realm of conjecture anymore. For a long time we've just ignored these papers. But this was a drug, that was used for thousands of years.
Now, in your documentary, you get into the effects of medical marijuana, which sometimes can be quite instant. It's quite dramatic.
It really can. It works, and it can work very quickly. In fact, let me just show you.
I always have two strains.
Meet 19-year-old Chaz Moore. He uses many different strains of marijuana, many of them high in CBD, to treat his rare disorder of the diaphragm.
My abs will, lock up.
That's why he's talking this way, almost speaking in hiccups, like he can't catch his breath. It's called myoclonus diaphragmatic flutter.
This fluttering here, it's annoying, but it becomes painful pretty quickly, I imagine. Yeah,
after 15, 20 minutes is where I can start to really feel it.
He's about to show me how the marijuana works. He's been convulsing now for 7 minutes.
How quickly do you expect this to work?
Within the first 5 minutes. And I'm done.
That's it.
That's it.
It was actually less than a minute.
Depending on the attack in the day.
That is pretty extraordinary.
He was on so many different meds, Piers. It was a table full of meds that doctors had prescribed for him for this condition, including OxyContin, Valium. Any of those medications in too high a dose could have been really problematic, and they didn't work. Look, the proof is becoming increasingly clear, I think, if you look for it.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to make things a bit lively, Sanjay. We're going to bring in Howard Samuels, the CEO of the Hills Treatment. Now, you and he have clashed horns before. We're going to do it again after the break because he does not agree with you, and he's going to be quite forceful about it. Let's get to that after the break. The medical marijuana controversy rages on in America. Should it be legal or not? Let's debate it. Back with us now is Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Also joining us is Howard Samuels, who's a former addict turned founder of the Hills Treatment Center for Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation. Howard Samuels, we've spoken before about this. You feel very strongly from your own experiences as a personal addict and treating other addicts that it's a real gateway drug, marijuana, and we should not be encouraging it to be legalized.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think that the doctor has a very good point that for medical purposes, marijuana can be very, very useful. But you have to understand, the vast majority of people that use weed use it to get loaded. They use it to get high. And look, I'm not here to say that it's, worse than alcohol. Of course it's not worse than alcohol. But why in the world would we legalize another drug so our nation's youth have another substance to abuse and medicate their feelings with? And this is, to me, the issue. We don't want to go from one extreme, reefer madness, which we know is a total exaggeration, but we don't want to go to the other extreme where we legalize this drug and endanger so many of our young people.
Okay,
we want to find a healthy balance.
Okay, let me throw that point to Sanjay. It's a point well made, quite reasoned. Sanjay.
Well, I mean, look, it can be difficult to sort of stratify the legitimate patients who have use for cannabis not only as a medication, but as the only medication for their suffering. And as the doctor says, people who just want to get loaded or get high. That's true.
But if it's no more harmful than alcohol or tobacco, why shouldn't it be legalized? Isn't there an inconsistency in government policy?
I think so. And let me take it a step further than that. I think it's irresponsible of the medical community not to offer this as an alternative. 2 points. First of all, these other medications that we talk about for pain, for example, morphine, Dilaudid, OxyContin, Vicodin, you name it. Every 19 minutes in this country, Piers, in the United States, someone dies of an accidental prescription drug overdose. This is no joke. Every 19 minutes. As we investigated this, I couldn't find one documented case of someone dying of a marijuana overdose. We also know that for some situations, like neuropathic pain, which is that lancinating, terrible pain people can get in their limbs or extremities, sometimes marijuana is the only thing that can actually work.
I've known someone with cancer who used it, and it had huge beneficial effects. I mean, my point to you, Howard Samuels, is this, is that I'm going to make a shocking revelation here. I've tried cannabis when I was a younger lad, and I've also had to have Vicodin when I broke some ribs falling off, embarrassingly, a Segway in Santa Monica. And I can tell you that it was the Vicodin, which I was prescribed by my doctor, which gave me a massively higher high than the cannabis ever did. I couldn't see the logic between making the Vicodin a legally prescribed drug and making cannabis this demonized drug. Explain to me the difference.
Well, I have to agree with you. I mean, I have no disagreement with that. I mean, I don't have an issue with marijuana being used for certain pain things. I mean, of course it's safer than Vicodin. I mean, I've had patients die off Vicodin. I've never had anybody die off marijuana, but I have had people come to me, hundreds of people that I've had to treat that have addiction to marijuana, that have serious emotional side effects as a result of that. So I think the issue here is, being able to decriminalize marijuana without question, but not making it legal.
But let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this then.
Okay, I think that it's safe.
Okay,
because it's not.
Right. I think you're slightly softening your position though from when I last spoke to you, because unless I'm wrong, the logical extension of your argument is that we should be banning all sorts of prescription drugs, probably alcohol as well, and tobacco. They should all be banned as well as cannabis, because that's the logical way of looking at your argument.
No, I never, and I'm sorry if you misunderstood me, that all these drugs do have a place. The problem is that we don't have a medical restrictions, that these drugs are all too open on the market for abuse. Okay? Marijuana needs to be a controlled substance, not legalized where we have commercials and we're sort of, the corporations are talking about which drug to get loaded on. Marijuana this, marijuana that.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Let me get to Sanjay.
We have to come up with a different concept.
Okay.
Other than legalized or not.
Let me go back to Sanjay. Let me ask you, Sanjay. I've made my stunning confession. I tried a bit of cannabis when I was younger. Have you tried it?
I have tried it.
What effect did it have on you compared to, say, drinking alcohol or whatever?
Well, the irony is, in some ways, because I've worked on this documentary, it was a while ago that I tried this. I didn't particularly care for it, actually. It made me kind of anxious, and It wasn't a very pleasant feeling, I think. And I talked to a lot of people who've had similar sort of experiences. But from a medicinal standpoint, this idea that it can provide something that isn't already provided, I think the doctor, he's sort of saying you're going to see ads for it, making it sound like it's some over-the-counter drug that everyone can buy. Right now it's listed as the most dangerous substance. It's in the category of most dangerous substances in America.
I think.
The addiction is possibly real, about 9%. Put it in context, cocaine is about 20%. That's actually considered less dangerous than marijuana. Alcohol has a higher rate of addiction. Smoking, 30%, and that leads to far more deaths than marijuana. So I just don't quite understand the moral equivalence that the doctor's making here.
Right. Howard Samuels, it's always good to talk to you. Well, the final word to you, Howard Samuels.
I'm not saying marijuana is more dangerous than cocaine. Of course it's not.
The U.S.
that's
government
ridiculous.
is saying that.
I am saying, though, that marijuana should not be legalized because it is harmful to the emotional state of people have long-term exposure to it. And I've seen that. And anybody in the treatment field is going to tell you the same thing.
But isn't that, Howard
who
Samuels,
work in
Howard
the
Samuels, let me jump in. Isn't that also true, though, of so many other things? I mean, isn't it true of alcohol, tobacco, Vicodin, and everything else? Is that you will have a percentage of people. You have a percentage of people. So,
but the solution.
But here's the point that Sanjay's making: is there has to be surely a consistency.
It's not to legalize it.
Right, but
we're doing the same thing. We're giving more people an opportunity to get loaded. Why do we want to support that?
Okay, last word to you, Sanjay.
Well, look, I'm not quite sure I follow the doctor's arguments here. I think it is a potentially very effective medicine that has not been given a fair shake for 70 years in this country. I think it can treat things that other medicines that exist now that are far more dangerous, far more toxic, lead to far more deaths, cannot treat. It's bizarre to me, quite frankly. I think it's inhumane to these patients who can't get this treatment. I met patients in Colorado who can get treatment, but they can never leave their state. It's ridiculous. And the doctor, I think, maybe he would agree with me, maybe he won't, I'm not sure. I don't understand his position, but it is irresponsible, I think, of the medical community not to have this as an option. I have children. I don't want them getting loaded, as he says, on this stuff either. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is that we're trying to help take care of people, and we should not take marijuana off the table as an option here.
Sanjay, got to leave it there. Good to talk to you.
And I totally agree with you. But we shouldn't legalize it so our kids have an option to get loaded on a daily basis.
You've made your point. You've made your point, sir, very loudly and clearly. It's a debate that will carry on raging because Americans are talking about this up and down the country, and more states are beginning to legalize it for medicinal reasons. Anyway, Sanjay's documentary Weed airs this Sunday at 8 p.m. on CNN.
All right. So we heard a whole load there from Dr. Sanjay Gupta after he came to a revelation and then made apologies for his previous statements and position on marijuana and its effects. And then, of course, they had a protagonist on there who was... Dude, that guy was whacked out. Even in the argument, he said stuff like, okay, are you going to tell me that it's worse than alcohol? No, of course I'm not going to say it's worse than alcohol.
I would never say that.
You know what I'm saying? He goes, okay, so you're saying that it's worse than, one of those other neurological drugs they give it. Oh, no, I'm not saying that it's worse than that. I'm not saying it's more dangerous. People shouldn't be getting blasted on it.
Nobody should be getting high, you dirty hippies.
You know, my opinion about the whole people shouldn't be getting high is the same opinion I hold of my bedroom. What I do in my bedroom, and with whom, as long as they're of illegal consenting age, is nobody's fucking business. Secondly,
it's your civil right.
Me smoking my marijuana or doing whatever I do with my marijuana, if I want to eat it or smoke it or whatever the hell I want to do, and it's not affecting anybody else outside of me as an adult born into the world and gonna die a husk, that is my choice with my body, and that's nobody's business either. I mean, if these people are pushing all these chemicals and poisons and I mean, it is just completely blows me away, and it's all for greed, and it's so blatantly obvious, just like every other violation of our civil liberties that are being done. It's so blatant of a farming of our society, and they're getting away with it. But they're farming us.
Why don't we talk about getting high? What does it mean to get high? Getting high, if you listen to a lot of people, they compare it to alcohol. But cannabis is not like alcohol. Alcohol is a toxin. It's
let me finish the peak of my thought, which is what I missed, which is I was reaching for and got sidetracked. My point was that as a working class American, I go to work, I do my job, I come home, high stress job, I need to unwind, I need to get my appetite going because I have no appetite. That's nobody's business. What I do as a tax-paying American when I come home from work, as long as I'm not hurting somebody else. It's nobody's freaking business. So that's kind of like...
That's not what they're telling you.
That was the gist that I was trying to get at. It's nobody's business what working, tax-paying, voting Americans do with their bodies in their downtime. So I totally don't agree with marijuana drug testing is bullshit.
Well, what doesn't make sense is if it's good for patients, right? It's good for patients. That's what that whole clip was about. How?
Oh yeah, it's good for patients.
Hold on, it's good for patients. Hold on. Then why wouldn't it be just as equally as good to keep somebody's health even better? Healthy people doing it.
Right, as a preventative.
Preventative medicine.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just trying to, because I was looking for that and thought of, okay, it's no one's business what I'm doing in the bedroom when I'm done with my day. Well, it's nobody's business what I'm doing in my house when I'm done with my work for the day.
If you're truly free, why do you not have the right to put into your body whatever you so choose? Your body is yours. It's your property. It belongs to you. Doesn't belong to the federal government. Doesn't belong to the state.
All they own is the straw man they made up in your name when you were born. Anyway.
But seriously, let's look at...
That's another rabbit hole we'll take another day. But
let's talk about getting high. The unfortunate thing is that cannabis is compared to alcohol. Like the euphoria is all the same, but it's not the same thing.
It's not the same at all.
Totally different things are happening. We talked about this a little earlier about the fact you drink alcohol, it is held in the liver, as your liver has to process it into a non-toxic substance. If alcohol was to make its way into your bloodstream, it would kill you. So your body has to convert it into a non-toxic substance, which takes time. If you take and drink too much alcohol, you will tax your liver. Your liver swells. Your liver can even become ulcerated.
Right.
You end up, the alcohol spills over in your bloodstream, and it makes its way to the brain, where it causes your brain to swell. And it causes the death of brain cells. Cannabis is food. Your liver sees it as food. When you consume cannabis, it passes right through your liver, as Nick was just saying a little bit earlier. It passes right through the liver and is stored in your fat cells because your body realizes it needs this.
This is good stuff. Kind of like ants.
Thank you.
The ants are packing away the good shit.
Exactly.
You got to store it for a rainy day.
You store it away, and you store it in your fat cells so you can draw from it when you need it, because cannabis is a nutrient. It benefits the body. That's the reason why. If you use cocaine or heroin, you have little to fear of a drug test, because your liver is going to catch it. It's going to hold on to it. It's going to try to convert it into a non-toxic substance and pass it out of your body quickly.
Right.
Very, very quickly.
Yeah, in my days of college, the people that were in trouble for hard drugs were still doing the hard drugs because they could just piss it out over the weekend.
That's right. Now, cannabis is a different story.
Whereas with marijuana, which has not even an inkling of that destructive ability, is stuck in your system for as long as your metabolism holds it. Mine's about a week.
It's going to leach, well, actually longer than that. If you're going to have cannabis...
No, I'm saying myself.
Oh, yourself, okay.
I smoke regularly daily if I do. A couple bowls a day or whatever, and I quit about within a week.
But you have
two
zero
tops.
body fat.
That has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I have a high metabolism and
it's
no
like 2
body
months.
fat. You know,
A lot of there's
You're
a lot of
telling me
people
nothing I don't know.
can still test positive for
right
cannabis up
after
to
30 days, 60
and,
days.
You know,
sometimes.
so it's something you don't really. But the fact of the matter is, you shouldn't have to care.
Right.
Because again, too, we're not talking about a toxic substance. It has a different effect. Now let's talk about euphoria. So what is the euphoria? Well, one of the reasons why people, possibly, why you experience euphoria from cannabis is because you have such a great number of CB1 receptors in your brain. You're wired for the cannabinoids that you produce within your own body. You produce endocannabinoids within your own body, which are very similar to phytocannabinoids or plant-based cannabinoids. So that's you have these a high concentration of these receptors in your brain. You also have them all throughout your body. And as I said, you develop a tumor or something, you develop those receptors around that tumor whenever it's present. So we're talking about two different things. You're talking about the euphoria you experience from cannabis. Like I said, I've interviewed well over 200 people. Those interviews are on YouTube. You find with somebody who's dealing with chronic or terminal illness, that high has a purpose. It allows a person who's dealing 24/7 with misery a short little brief
respite,
of escape,
a rest,
right?
A little respite in the journey.
I've used cannabis now for over 18 years, and as I was saying earlier, I don't get high anymore. I miss that high. I miss getting high. And every once in a while I'll experience it for about 30 seconds,
right.
45 seconds. Hey, I felt pretty good.
That felt good
nice.
for a second. Yeah.
But I can't complain because you know what? I no longer have neuropathy in my hands and feet. I no longer have severe migraines, debilitating migraines. At one point, I lost my center vision. I no longer have seizures. The last time I had a migraine was in 2006. Last time I had a seizure was in 2009 when my medicine got low. I don't miss a grand mal seizure. Grand mal seizures can kill you
quickly.
I don't miss that one bit. You know what else? I don't miss the pain I had in my gut from all the pharmaceuticals that I was forced to have to take.
That also kills your
destroyed
insides,
oh God,
your kidney and your liver.
Oh, here's a good story. My dog died last week. Turns out, she had a hip something wrong with
dysplasia.
It was something like that, and they gave her medicine for it. Turned out the pills they gave her shut down her organs.
Oh my God!
Killed her 3 days later.
Oh
4 days
my God,
later.
that's horrible.
When cannabis oil could have saved her. That's what the vet told me. I should have went with cannabis oil. Why didn't you go with cannabis oil? I was like, you gave me the pills! You gave me the pills, lady!
My husband has hip dysplasia, and we treat her
Yeah.
with marijuana. Unfortunately, we can't afford to
Yeah.
either make or purchase
Yeah,
oil,
yeah, yeah.
so we have to split a smoke at her. But she asks for
She
it.
does. She'll come up to us and go.
Or
you
she'll
know,
come in after
she doesn't
the
like
bowl
the
and
smoke,
it's like,
but
hey.
she knows
It makes
the
her
end
feel
result. So she'll move her head back and forth, but she comes over to you and she'll move her head like she's avoiding the smoke. But what she's doing is she's trying to get like some kind of exclusive amount of it in her nose because it probably tickles her nose, or
I had a boxer for many years. Actually lived 14 years, and I believe the reason why she lived as long as she did, her eyes were still clear from the day she died. It was because she would, whenever I was really sick, I would go and I would sit down on the back steps and I would smoke cannabis, and she would come over and sit down up real close to me, and she would lick at the smoke. She would lean her head up close to mine whenever I would take a draw of the cannabis. She just innately knew.
Yeah.
Dogs, cats, all mammals have an endocannabinoid system. Even some invertebrates like slugs have an endocannabinoid system. It's there, and it's
Don't
for a
pour
reason.
salt on them.
And,
yeah, no salt.
No salt.
The big thing is, I feel like what cannabis has really done is it allows us to live in a toxic environment. What made me sick was a toxic environment. It was exposure to heavy metals, lead, cadmium, and arsenic. But more than that, I worked a toxic job. I was a certified welder and pipe fitter working in power plants. I have asbestos in these lungs. I have calcium silicate in these lungs. I have fly ash in these lungs. My buddy Brian Chitwood, who I followed with terminal melanoma, what gave him cancer was fly ash. So, it's just, why am I here today? Like I said, I've been a patient for over 18 years now. There's only one reason, because I only have one medicine. Cannabis is my Tylenol. Cannabis is my Tums. Cannabis is all my medicine.
So when they tell you prohibition is good, remember, no prohibition is good. No prohibition is good. Got any questions?
Shirley says, all joking aside, what you were saying is so true. I use for medical reasons and supposed to be on all kinds of drugs. But cannabis is what works with no bad side effects. It's the best medicine I have found for my conditions, but can't always afford it. And guess what? When I'm out, my brain gets foggy, my headaches and other pain and insomnia return.
Of course it does.
The only thing criminal concerning cannabis is that it's not legal everywhere for everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent.
Yes,
And,
ma'am.
I follow kind of that same thing. Like, I was on types of, I have hypertension and all these, like, minor disorders, mental disorders, and they wanted to put me on all these pills and stuff, and whatever they put me on, and it was like they didn't even know. It's like, oh, try this. Like they're rolling the frickin' dice. I'm like, I literally was sitting on my porch just shaking like I was on crack or meth or something, and wanted to go do something, but couldn't even get off the couch. Like just sitting there, like burning, like Roadrunner, spinning my wheels, but I wasn't even moving. I'm just sitting there going, Rrr. And my girlfriend at the time's like, are you okay? I'm like, I think it's my meds. This is like week 2, And after week 2, it was really like it was like putting me on fast burn on a treadmill, but I couldn't get up and move. It was horrible. And it was just a succession of that crap. And then I turned more toward the cannabis as the solution to that problem, which came down to not only just kind of shutting parts of my brain off, from taking over my mind space, so I couldn't think clear, to my appetite, there's just so many things. The anxiety, there's just so many things that it does for me, that if I go without, my anxiety levels build.
It becomes almost unbearable to be around.
Yeah, like
after about a week.
Like Jekyll and Hyde.
Just from his anxiety alone.
And I have nothing to be anxious about. It's a biological thing. For some reason, my body is will bombard itself, and I'm just like, what am I anxious about? Why can't I just shut this off? But you can't. You can't. It's just, it's an anxiety attack.
With cannabis, we see this both with mental issues as well as with physical issues. Like I said, I've interviewed over 200 people. One of the amazing things, the different bits of language that I hear repeatedly over and over again. And one of the things you were talking about a little bit earlier, Nick, when we were talking, and we were talking about how cannabis does not cover the pain. It doesn't take the pain away. What cannabis does is it allows us to distance us from the pain. Same thing with a lot of times I've interviewed people talking about mental issues. It allows them to distance themselves away from it where they can deal with it.
Right, where I can look at it objectively, third person kind of, without having to be in the middle of the conversation.
Right.
Is what it does.
Absolutely.
And if I can't keep that separation, it's like being in a room with a room full of people constantly just talking in your ear, which anyone, no matter how tolerable they are of a crowd, if you were stuck in, say, an elevator with 6 people all day, you're gonna start. You're like, man, I'm about to kill one of these guys.
Shut up!
One of us is not leaving. One of us is not leaving today, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
It gets into that situation where you're attacking yourself, and
Well, we were talking earlier about veterans. We lose 26 veterans a day to suicide. And
A day. Think about that. 26 lives a day.
Cannabis is the single best treatment for anxiety.
Well, very, very good to the bottom line of the U.S. Military complex, though. They're saving themselves a ton of money.
I've interviewed veterans who told me that when they came back, that most of the people they came back with were no longer with them anymore. Yep. 26 veterans a day, that's a lot of people. That's every single day. It came up when I first started getting involved with this. It was like 18.
So you mean they come back and there's no family, there's no friends, there's no support?
There could be. It's just that PTSD. It doesn't matter if you have family or friends.
No, it doesn't.
It eats you alive.
It can.
We have people right now in Kansas City, soldiers that are just dying on the inside when cannabis helps. But they can't, because if they use cannabis, the VA will throw them out. They can't. They won't have health insurance.
Right.
So it's pretty horrible.
It's very bad considering what we put our veterans through.
Yeah.
And it's more than just the anxiety. It's the fact that it's the burning pits they were exposed to. I've interviewed veterans from Vietnam that were exposed to Agent Orange, and it's frightening what they've gone through. I mean, this veterans, like one veteran I'm thinking about right now, his name is Bill Coosh, and Bill was exposed. He walked the point every single day. He was infantry, and he waded through the Agent Orange. They sprayed the Agent Orange right in front of them, and they literally had it all over them. They were bathed in it. They couldn't wash it off. It was all over them. And the thing about it is that the effect is years later in their life. And for him, he had no idea about the toxicity of what he had been sprayed with. And until he was like 30 years later, and he started developing throat cancer. But the real kicker in all that was more than that, how it affected his wife. They don't tell you is that Agent Orange affects to the 6th generation, your descendants.
Yep.
His wife had 6 miscarriages, and the one and only child that lived had some terrible health issues that she had to deal with and she had to battle with. And this is rampant. I've seen this over and over and over again. Now let's jump ahead to Afghanistan.
So a way to take that military pension money back from you.
Well, the thing about it is that when talking about Agent Orange, they knew from like 1947, I believe it was, because of horrendous experiences that the English had already had with Agent Orange. They already knew the people who were taking and doing this. It was commerce. They were buying this crap from, who was it? DuPont? Wasn't that called?
No.
Basically, very
push out the marijuana and DuPont selling the orange. Look out!
Well, it wasn't.
God, no.
They all, they were basically it's Roundup in so many ways. Right. They are still putting out that Monsanto.
Monsanto, yeah.
Monsanto,
yeah.
DuPont.
Oh yeah.
Monsanto.
Okay.
DuPont was involved with it too, though. They also were involved with it as well, but Monsanto's the one.
Was the one that carried the pigeon.
But they, So now again, let's jump ahead now to Afghanistan and Iraq.
Right.
What we dealt with there were burning pits, where they burned everything. And our military stood around breathing this. It was everything from animals, animal waste, to humans, to chemicals that they had sprayed over there, all chemical weapons.
The ones they burned out.
The stuff that was there before and the stuff that they brought. They're exposed to all this. They're breathing all these chemicals in. We were experiencing the Gulf War, which was the first one. They were coming back when they were called a Gulf War syndrome. Mm-hmm. Gulf War syndrome has got almost synonymous with fibromyalgia by comparison. That's why I say fibromyalgia is chemical poisoning. That's part of my diagnosis. I already know what chemicals I was exposed to: lead, cadmium, and arsenic. So I know it was chemical poisoning that affected me, and it affects all of our troops as well. You tell me that it's not going to affect them for the rest of their life. It has. It already is. Because I've interviewed quite a number of them already, and I see what this is affecting them. But it affects them physically as well as mentally.
Shirley returns with, it seems to balance serotonin levels better than anything I know of. That needs to be research tested. Imbalanced serotonin levels are directly related to many problems like anxiety and depression.
Again, too, this goes back to the fact that cannabis is the great regulator. The purpose behind cannabis is, like I said, just this past year, they have actually, they believe, research is proving that our endocannabinoid system is perhaps our primary endocrine system. By our primary endocrine system, it's responsible for the production of hormones and stuff within our body, our chemical makeup. Our endocannabinoid system is responsible for regulating that and keeping it in the balance. So it holds exactly true in what she just stated.
And with the free and open cannabis market, we can do that much freer and much easier. So say no to prohibition. All right. We got to get out of here.
You got to get going.
But
so,
I would like to say,
I would also we need to throw more material how to reach.
Actually Thursday, April 16th.
And upcoming.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. All right.
Thursday, April 16th.
All this information and knowledge. Whoa, man.
You're blowing my mind, dude.
I'm just so happy Beer 420 never gets this.
Thursday, April 16th from 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. We'll be taking your questions, having, our meeting, whatever. Midtown Carnegie Library, 397 East Central Street in Springfield, Missouri. You will be, Mark Pedersen will be explaining the success stories of many patients that he has helped.
Okay, real quick, for those who don't know, that's the old main library in Springfield over by the courthouses.
Thank you. See?
Yeah,
it helps to be a local.
Yeah, it's right in, isn't it behind the school?
No,
it's like
right
off the left.
No, it's in between the county courthouse where you get all your shit legal and city utilities. It's right over in that area on that street.
397 East Central Street, Midtown Carnegie Library, from 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m.
The library does have its own parking lot, too.
Yes.
And Friday, can't make that, Friday from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., we will be at the Belgian Waffle
House?
Yeah, Waffle House with Nick Reed at 1882 James River Road, Ozark, Missouri, for the radio station 104.1 News Radio. Mark Pedersen will be being interviewed by Nick Reed. So,
nice.
Yeah,
very cool.
That's going to be a great one. I might have a few words too. Nick Raines. You know how Springfield loves Nick Raines. Anyway, and then that night, Friday night, we also have at 421 West South Street in Nixa, Missouri, from 7 to 9 p.m. We'll be having a meeting there as well. So Nixa, we'll be seeing you.
We'll talk about cannabis and how cannabis can benefit you.
Exactly.
And how cannabis can benefit the state of Missouri in a really, really big way.
And why the Missouri Cannabis Restoration and Protection Act is the best initiative for Missouri and you. Your children, your grandchildren will benefit more than any other initiative in this 2016 ballot. I mean, this is really the future of Missouri. Farming,
it's the future
health,
of the country.
Well, yeah.
And if we could get this
we can only start
here,
with Missouri
we can actually
right now.
be a leader in this country for once in Missouri history.
This is going to put
for once in Missouri history.
Instead of being a follower.
Weren't they one of the first to drop out of the Civil War?
Yeah.
We were in the middle. You're in the half that was with the South. Kansas City is with the half that was with the North. We can make up our minds.
Okay.
Put labels on us.
No, I'm in the South end. Oh my gosh.
St. Louis,
I didn't even realize I'm behind enemy lines.
Kansas City, we had a bunch of.
We couldn't even make up our minds in the Civil War.
We'll have the local posse militia on the lawn later. They'll go, oh, we got a northerner. We found one.
We got him.
Well, you guys do know that one of the famous Civil War battles was fought here in Missouri.
Yeah, Battlefield Creek.
It's Lexington, Missouri is Battle of the Hemp Fields.
Oh, hemp bales.
Hemp bales battle. What?
What? You never heard of the hemp bale battles?
No.
The battle of hemp bales,
my
basically
God.
the Confederate troops hid behind these huge battles of hemp. They were successfully because the hemp.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, pot saved the day.
Did.
If you're a Confederate.
If you're a Confederate, right.
So don't listen to what they teach you in the public schools here. Those were not bales of hay. Because that's what they taught in the school.
Oh, are you
Really?
Seriously.
Oh my goodness.
No, it was the Battle of the Hemp. That is
yeah.
horrible.
History.
That just breaks my
Yeah,
heart.
1984. It's already happening. You know.
Yeah, that's what they tried to teach us in
the
school.
George
when I went.
Orwell.
Yeah, we're familiar, but we gotta get out of here. We got
All right.
a long
Well,
day tomorrow.
again, Mark, I thank you very much for being
buddy,
here.
thank you for having me.
Amazing conversation.
My brother.
And
Good to see
yes,
you again.
brother, again.
I'll see you
Thank you
again.
very
I'll
much.
be out here.
And yeah, I may catch you at one of the lectures. So
Definitely come
that would
down.
be,
Come down. Tell all your people. Come down.
This is about education.
We
and
just
about
want to educate your whole community.
about
Bring
spreading
your
the truth.
moms. Bring your dads.
bring your kids.
Bring your kids. Let them learn the truth about
Education's
cannabis.
key, man. And you know,
What about the kids? Let's show you.
the notorious thing is that any kind of rights that we've managed to retain and hold on to in this country, those people at the forefront, at the tip of the spear, if you will, of those issues, were looked at as the heretics, as the outcasts that were trying to, you know, but no, okay? If you reverse back the clock, we make women property again. We turn blacks back into slaves, as well as the Irish. You get what I'm saying? We need to have people take the initiative, get off the couch, even if it's sharing information with other people that you know have more gumption to do certain things that you don't.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not an extrovert. I can't go out and talk to people. I can't get signatures. But my friend Bob can. My friend Jane can. You know, so, you know, utilize your ability, even if that ability is turning on the right other people that have the ability to carry the torch.
That's right.
Again, thank you. Amazing. Again, amazing.
Thank
amazing.
you, buddy. I appreciate the work
Thank
you're doing
you.
here. Thank you.
You have an amazing evening. Have a great week. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And wow, that was intense. And with that, let's just go back a little bit to a man that you may or may not have heard of, is Chester Hopper Potts.
G4 does not promote the use of illegal drugs, but what you do with them is your own business.
Not now, Jerry, I'm busy.
Double thumbing your butt again?
No, dude, I'm playing my ass in exploding space rocks. Damn it, come on! And thanks to you, my ass lost. Again.
I don't want this.
Why not, dude? It's your joystick. What's the matter, Jerry?
Good news. Mary thinks I'm an anti-Semite again.
Dude, that's ridiculous. Everybody knows you only gargle kosher sausage.
That's what I said. It's all because I didn't know it was Hitler's birthday.
It is? Oh, dude, it is! Oh, yes!
Dave, I don't think that's anything to be happy about.
Are you kidding? It's the most important day of the year. My high holy day, Jerry. Ramadan rolled into Easter. Halloween smeared all over St. Patrick's Day. Kwanzaa Christmas until it cries.
Dude, it's kind of messed up to get that excited about Hitler's birthday.
Hitler has nothing to do with it, man. It's 420.
Oh my gosh, 420.
420, dude.
The 20th of 4.
As tradition dictates, on this most holy day, we will smoke tons and tons of green bud and play the best video games I've ever made. Rope-a-dope, Weed Racer, and Sir Lancepot. We do this to celebrate the legend of Jester Hopperpot, also known as the story of 420, dude.
How does that legend go again?
Jester Hopperpot was a hippie who developed weed so strong that he felt like it had to be hidden. He booby-trapped this route to this hiding place so that no one could ever find it. Then, years ago today, Jester Hopperpot disappeared forever. And when he disappeared, so did the greatest stash of weed man has ever known.
Why didn't he come back?
The theory is that he got so high he couldn't find his way back.
Didn't he have a map?
That, my friend, is the worst part. Supposedly, he did have a map, but he was so high he forgot to bring it, and no one knows where he left it.
What a tragedy.
Dude, the tragedy right now is that we don't have any weed. I smoked my last sticky nugget right after breakfast, so unless that's a bag of weed in your pocket, we have to go score some green.
This is a Baloney Town TV Beer 420 exclusive. Catch Baloney Town on YouTube.
That's BALONEY, Town TV.
Alright, guys, it's time for your lessons, morons. See if you can learn anything. The first question today is, what is 2 and 2 together?
The answer is 4?
Incorrect. The answer of what is 2 and 2 together is 22.
Yeah, even I knew that, and I failed English.
Guys, it's time to take a look at these stories making headlines today and weigh the good with the bad. It's time for pros and cons. Here we go. Tonight we'll be taking a look at the pros and cons of Washington, D.C. decriminalizing marijuana. It is no longer a crime to have up to an ounce of pot in our nation's capital. It's causing some controversy. Really? And, yeah. So let's take a look at the pros and cons of Washington, D.C. decriminalizing marijuana. Here we go. Pro, presidential meetings will still take place at the White House. Con, presidential meals will now take place at the White Castle. That's it, right? It's a new tradition.
Yeah, it's a new direction.
Started today, in fact.
New day, you know what I mean?
Pro, the law went into effect after the signing of a historic legal document. Con, the bill of all right.
JK living.
Yeah. Pro, seeing people in D.C. get the munchies. Con, seeing Michelle Obama mow down 100 celery sticks. That's a very healthy alternative.
Healthy. You got to stay healthy, man.
Pro, according to WebMD, marijuana can cause magical or random thinking. Con, or as Biden calls that, regular thinking. It's each his own, whatever.
Hey, don't vote about that presidency.
Pro, seeing congressmen vote yay or nay. Con, seeing congressmen vote whoa or nah, bro. Part of the new political process.
It's a whole new world.
Pro, visiting D.C.'s many new attractions. Con, like the Smithsonian, the Pentabong, and the Washington Marijuana-ment. There you go. Washington Marijuana. The Marijuana-ment. Pro, just because marijuana has been decriminalized, that doesn't mean it's legal. Con, that's only going to confuse stoners more. So what's a brain twister? What? Is this plane taking off yet?
You look to the right.
And finally, pro, some well-known politicians are now speaking out in support of the law. Con, Bill Clinton said, screw it, I did inhale. There you go. That's the pros and cons.
All right, that was Jimmy Fallon with The Tonight Show on NBC and his pros and cons speech. And with that, we'll bring you to some music. We're getting ready to end up this episode of Beer 420, but first, we have to give you a slew of pot paraphernalia and pot songs and all the like and blow your brain away. Remember, go out and find Mark. He is in the area and he'll be doing lectures throughout our little zone here in southwest Missouri. So, like you said, Nixa and Ozark and Springfield. So, hit one of those events, get informed. Maybe you would be that person that could go out and help push signatures. This is something that we need now. Something for our kids, something for us, something that is sustainable. And I tell you what, a society on these synthetic man-made drugs and the options of cutting brains out is not sustainable.
Warning, 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 warning.
Warning, Beer 420 is 18 and up. Tuning in and sharing our material is welcome and officially makes you a torch carrier.
Now, if you slap folks that have bad things to say about us, then you're a real backhander.
Warning, Beer 420 can cause job termination, thinking outside the box, falling head over heels for conspiracy and spiritualist ideals.
Bent, my one-way path toward alien liberation. A brainwashing mash of everything your mother warned you about, all in one show.
Welcome to Beer 420.
Find out more at www.backhandstudios.org.
Anything else, now that's it for me. Reach in my pocket and I grab my keys. Jump in my whip and then I switch CDs. Then I hit a back road to make my eyes bleed. Dirt road, rolling, smoking on some good weed. We keep the windows up until we can't breathe. If I was standing up, I'd probably fall to my knees. Smoking on this shit, G after G, blunt after blunt, till I'm looking Chinese. Ripping it, rolling it, licking it every single day. Never gonna stop smoking Mary fucking Jane. I done made my decision, I think it's pretty plain. Fully fucking invested in this goddamn game. If I was you, I'd watch my shit when we take aim. Cause we gon' set fire to the whole damn thing. I don't give a fuck, she don't give a fuck, he don't give a fuck, yeah, we don't give a fuck. What you all think? Yeah, we smoke and drink, we never gonna stop, and you can take that to the bank. Saying, I don't give a fuck, she don't give a fuck, he don't give a fuck, yeah, we don't give a fuck. What you all think? Yeah, we smoke and drink, we never gonna stop, and you can take that to the bank.
Nephew and alter minds all up in this bitch. They don't give a fuck, and I don't give a shit. Rolling up that doty, trying to get lit. Pull me yet another, and you know that I'ma sip. Mean swag in the woods, smoking on that good. Backwards the neighborhood, yeah, you know what's good. Haters trying to get on our level, they wish they could, but they just boosting our ego, so what makes us feel good? Known to keep it gangster, known to keep it hood, and you could catch us smoking all up in the backwoods. Never gon' stop it, you can take it to the bank. Nephew and alter minds go hard in the paint. Never been fake, what you think? They tell me to slow down or stop, but I tell them that I can't. Gotta have some dro, gotta have some drink, and we ain't scared to buck them shots like Boondock Saints.
I don't give a fuck, she don't give a fuck, he don't give a fuck, yeah, we don't give a fuck. What you all think? Yeah, we smoke and drink, we never gonna stop, and you can take that to the bank. Saying, I don't give a fuck, she don't give a fuck, he don't give a fuck, yeah, we don't give a fuck. What you all think? Yeah, we smoke and drink, we never gonna stop, and you can take that to the bank.
From Cali to the backwoods, yeah, we rolling through. Man, I'm back road chiefin' with the rest of my crew. Man, we bout to blaze it up, take a drive, and in no time, we lightin' up a doobie, and we feelin' sky high. Oh my, one more time, man, we bout to smoke a waffle. Deep up in them woods, and we got them windows up too. Bout to take a walk, so we floating out the car, I'll come. Take a couple steps, turn around, take a look, and I ride the fucking smoke bomb. Walking through them trees, and we be smoking on that OZ. Rolling up them white house with the homies from the show me. So blow me a shotgun hit. Cough so hard, almost take a shit. Now I'm blown as can be, and I'm down on my knees, man, I'm ready for another hit. Walk a ways down, my high is starting to subside. Break out the nuts and pipe, next thing you know, we smoking Creekside. Nephew and altered minds, rolling high, that's how we ride. Take a trip with the crew, only one thing's true, we'll get you back road smoking high.
I don't give a fuck, she don't give a fuck, he don't give a fuck, yeah, we don't give a fuck. What you all think? Yeah, we smoke and drink, we never gonna stop, and you can take that to the bank. Saying, I don't give a fuck, she don't give a fuck, he don't give a fuck, yeah, we don't give a fuck. What you all think? Yeah, we smoke and drink, we never gonna stop, and you can take that to the bank. Bank.
Don't allow unexperienced people to put their fingers in your ass.
This has been another Backhand Studio public service announcement.
Stunting while she rolling my blunts. Got my middle finger up for all you haters. I'm late, now I'm straight, but I'ma need some more weight. Cause this bitch gon' wanna blaze when we wake up. It's in the air until I smoke my life away. I only fuck with streets because I like smoke her life away. She will smoke my life away. I'ma smoke my life away. I like a good connect, even if it's out of state. Let's go, let's go. Mr. Go and get it down to a quake. I need the real once again and smoke my life away. It's in the air like oxygen, I'm on the block again. Tombstone doc don't fuck the square, so you know I keep up boxed in. Devil in that red dress, can't help but hear her knocking. Say that I'm the truth, so I must be in her top 10. Hold me like your soda coat. I'm smoking drove with no alpha mode. Work piece of code, I sold my soul. I'ma fuck with her till I overdose. I'm hella high, you can tell if my vision televised. When this felon ride, tell your clique they should run and hide. Tell that guy, fucking with my vibe will make that pellet fly. And hella right, I'm pushing your bitch shit, cause I'm hella fly. Don't be a menace to society and live in color. These bitches just wanna get high with me, you'll get the final. Leading and stunting while she rolling my blunts. Got my middle finger up for all you haters. All you haters. I'm baked, now I'm straight, but I'ma need some more weight. Cause this bitch gon' wanna blaze when we wake up. It's in the air until I smoke my life away. I only fuck with streets because I like to take. This bitch I'm with but naked and I like her face. She only fuck with me so she can smoke her life away. She will smoke my life away. I'ma smoke my life away. I like a good connect, even if it's out of state. Let's go, let's go. Mr. Go and get it down to a quake. I need the real once again and smoke my life away. I got a twisted sweet and a flavor peach. Who got an A? Who got an A? No bullshit, just like Smokey get too high today. I probably make more guns than Snoop Dogg, and that's without some shake. Look like I wrote a quake. This the smoke, it's sexy. Somebody pass me a burner. This a rock up in my cup, so we about to turn up. I need a bad bitch, come swallow my time today. I'll break you off that good love, just be my Mary J. It's in the air, so you can bring your girlfriend with you. When smoke I life away, I never let a hater hurt you. My plan first suit, on God, wolf pack my squad, tombstone die. I'm leading and stunting while she rolling my blunts. Got my middle finger up for all you haters. I'm baked, now I'm straight, but I'ma need some more weight. Cause this bitch gon' wanna blaze when we wake up. It's in the air until I smoke my life away. I only fuck with streets because I like to take. This bitch I'm with but naked and I like her face. She only fuck with me so she can smoke her life away. She will smoke my life away. I'ma smoke my life away. I like a good connect, even if it's out of state. Let's go, let's go. Mr. Go and get it down to a quake. I need the real once again and smoke my life away. Smoke my life away. I'ma smoke my life away. Smoke a blunt, high as fuck. I'm a stoner. What? Smoke my life away. I'ma smoke my life away. Smoke a blunt, high as fuck. I'm a stoner. What? Smoke my life away. I'ma smoke my life away. Smoke a blunt, high as fuck. I'm a stoner. What? Smoke my life away. I'ma smoke my life away. Smoke a blunt, high as fuck. I'm a stoner. What?
Check. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Check.
Marijuana and crack rolled in the joint. 3750. 420 marijuana use. 51 combination of crack cocaine, marijuana, tobacco. A-bomb marijuana cigarette with a heroin or opium in it. Acapulco Gold marijuana from Southwest Mexico. Marijuana. Acapulco Red is marijuana. You know Ace is a marijuana cigarette with PCP in it. Afghani Indica is marijuana. So is African Black, African Bush. And don't forget the marijuana cigarette named African Woodbine. Airhead, Airplane, Alice B, Tocas, marijuana brownie. Amphetamine marijuana dipped in formaldehyde or embalming fluid, sometimes laced with PCP and smoked. Marijuana cigarette laced with some kind of form of narcotic as an amp joint. Angola is marijuana. Are you anywhere? Do you use marijuana? Ashes. Oh, ashes marijuana after you burned it. Assassins of youth. AstroTurf. Atom Bomb, Acetici, Aunt Mary, Mary Jane, B, an amount of marijuana to fill a matchbox, B40, cigar lacing marijuana dipped in malt liquor, baby, bahang, baby bong, aha, babysitter, bad seed, and bag. A bag is a container for drugs. A baker is someone who smokes marijuana bale, and you can use the bale, the bomba, the bombalaka, the bombies, the bambi, the bambino, the babinado, the ball, the bash, the basuco. That's Spanish for cocaine, coca paste residue sprinkled on a regular old marijuana cigarette. The bazooka is a cocaine combination of crack marijuana, crack tobacco, combined with joint and cocoa paste and marijuana. Whew. That's a whole lot of words. The BC bud is a marijuana from British Columbia. BDs are cigarettes from India. Vallejono spruce is a marijuana, so is Bahang and Black One Lit to smoke marijuana, black marijuana, opium, methamphetamine, joint of the black bark, black ganga, black gold, black gungy, black gungeon, black Missouri, black moat. Yeah, high potent marijuana mixed with honey is called a black moat. A black rock, crack cocaine, marijuana cigarette. But don't forget your blanket.
Kick.
Ah! Hello. So there's one, before this one. This is, continuing on with, from the one we did before. It is slang for marijuana. Where we left off, there's a bubble gum, bud, this is a marijuana. Buddha that put in marijuana, spiked with opium, bullion, marijuana, burn one, smoke marijuana, Bernie, smoke a Bernie. Is that a bush? This is a marijuana with cocaine, PCP, and butter, marijuana crack. Oh shit, butter flour, CSCs, and that would be a camp trip, high potency marijuana, Cambodian red. Yeah, that's marijuana from Cambodia. Red, you can get the red kind. Yeah, can, marijuana, 1 ounce. Yeah, that's a can. Yeah, Canadi. Heroin, marijuana combination, I never heard of that. Canadian black, oh, Kamado, Kanapa, canceled stick. It's a marijuana cigarette. Candy blunt. You know what a candy blunt is. It's dipped in cough syrup. Candy sticks and marijuana cigarettes laced with powdered cocaine. This is cannabis tea and cannabis superiority. Oh, and it's odi. A kunaruchi. Come on, Ruchi. A package of marijuana cigarettes. Catnip, marijuana cigarette. Caviar. Combination cocaine, marijuana, crack cocaine, and caviar all-star marijuana. Zest, champagne, charas, charge, chase, chiba, chio, chemo, oh, chiba, Chicago black, marijuana turned from Chicago green, oh, don't forget cheapin', that's to be cheaper on that marijuana, chilla, the object used to smoke opium, hashish, marijuana, chips, tobacco, and marijuana cigarettes, laced with PCB, known as chira, chocolate, oh, you can get chocolate, marijuana, opium, amphetamine, chocolate, Thai, oh, Thai bud, Christmas tree, yeah, the chronic, the chunky, the tourist, the chitro, the clam bake. Oh, yeah, I'm in a clam bake sitting inside a car, other small closed space, smoking the marijuana. Clicker, oh, crack mixed up with PCP, marijuana dipped in formaldehyde and smoked. Crime, you would probably climb marijuana cigarettes, a Chick Taurus, a cocktail. The combination of crack marijuana cigarette, laced cocaine, crack partially smoked marijuana cigarette, insert into a regular cigarette and smoke cocaine in the cigarette. Cocoa puff, the smoke cocaine and marijuana, coli, cauliflower, tostado. It's a marijuana Colombian, Colorado cocktail. Don't forget the Columbus Black, the Cosa, or the crack shot crazy weed, marijuana, cripple crying weed, crip and crappy, and cratone, cubes, cubic and cuban. Oh, don't forget the daga dank and dawasanasta. Oh, the dew on the diablioto, dimbayasta, dimba, oh, ding, dinky doo. Dipped joints? Well, golly gee, dips, dirt grass, dirty joints, ditch weed, tajamba, do a joint, doty, domestic. Well, here you have another list of marijuana names in the Book of Slang, brought to you by Backhand Studios and Dead Brain Elements. You're listening to Backhand Studios.
What?
God had long hair and a goatee, and if his eyes were pretty glazed, if he looked spaced out, would you buy his story? smokes and smokes a bone.
Warning. Warning. A hand is moving slowly through your chip bag. Warning. Warning. A hand is moving slowly through your chip bag. Had that hand moved quickly to steal your chips, you may not have noticed. But due to the slow movement and the rustling, you could hear it happen. Warning. Warning. There's a hand moving through your chip bag. This has been a Backhand Studios public service announcement. Don't ever let a stoner near your snack food. It renders you powerless.
Okay, so there you have the downside of pot. They eat your snack. Tell me, that was not a good one.
That was a
good one, right? Oh, so you waited the whole show for that final punchline joke, and I thank you, one, each and all, backhanders, torch carriers alike, for tuning in and sharing this material with others, as you know you do. Don't forget, we are at Backhand Studios on Facebook, and you can also go to our website at backhandstudios.org. And if you really got a hair up your ass, you can find my entertainer profile at Nabolja, and you'll find it. Don't worry. Anyway, you're listening to Beer 420. We had an amazing interview with Mark Pedersen, and I was informed that in my mad haste I misspelled his name up there in the title, which I'll be changing at the end of the show. It is Pedersen, and I do apologize in advance to friends, fans alike. Again, we do thank you for tuning in and sharing. We really do look forward to seeing you in the chat. Feel free to bring things up. We're trying to pay more attention to the chat. Things get complicated here in the studio, then I tend to not catch what's going on. I do thank you guys for tuning in and sharing. And here, I really dug that last tune.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew who the artist was, but it's a
can't
great
remember.
parody,
Yeah.
and big props to her on that. And here is I'll Never Smoke Weed with Willie Again, and we'll be fading out with some Green Thumb, Mr. Jones. You guys have an amazing week. We will see you on Sunday for a look at the Shaded. They're not going to be attending. They had an incident and has kind of put them out of commission. Everything's cool though, and mending and healing, so everything's good. And we'll be playing some of their music and maybe trying to get Johnny B. Blasian on the show and put him on the spot. That would be fun if he's available. Anyway, look for us this Sunday with tribute to Shaded, and we will see you then.
Wrong one.
I always heard that his herb was top shelf. I just could not wait to find out for myself.
Don't knock it till you've tried it. Well, I've tried it, my friend, and I'll never smoke weed with Willie again.
I learned a hard lesson in a small Texas town.
He fired up a fat boy and he passed him around.
The last words I spoke before they tucked me in.
I'll never smoke weed with Willie again.
I'll never smoke
weed with Willie again. My party's all over before it began. You can pour me some old Whiskey River, my friend, but I'll never smoke weed with Willie again.
I hopped on his old bus, the Honeysuckle Road.
The party was Vegas, it was after the show.
Alone in the front lounge, just me and him.
With one parting puff, Grim Creeper sat in. I'll never smoke weed with Willie again. My party's all over before it began. You can pour me some old Whiskey River, my friend, but I'll never smoke weed with Willie again.
Now we're passing the guitar, telling good jokes.
I know one's a-comin' 'cause I'm smelling smoke.
No, I do not partake, I just let it pass by.
With a smile on my face and a great contact high. I'll never smoke weed, Willie, again. My party's all over before it began. You can pour me some old Whiskey River, my friend, but I'll never smoke weed with Willie again.
In the fetal position, with drool on my chin,
I messed up and smoked weed with Willie again.
Oh, great.
Believe it or not.
Has Willie heard that?
No, not yet. He'll hear it now.
Shout out to the radio station, and I'm sorry, I don't know where I got the material. That got those artists on there and played that on air. That was amazing. And yeah, thank you for tuning in to Beer 420. This is Nabs. Get ready to shut down the Ravenfeller account, so be sure you're attaching yourself to the appropriate groups, including Backhand Studios on Facebook, Beer 420, Beer 420 Web Radio. Also, you can find Ravenfeller cartoons if you're into my cartooning stuff. You can also, on the Backhand Studios page, we'll post anything new that we produce anyway. But also, we have the political pages, Political Scream and Conspiracy Crew. And you can also join our funny page at Wickeds or our sustainability page at Mercury Zephyr. And with that, I know, that's a whole lot of mouthful. Whew!
Yeah, Beer 420, where everyone that knows what's going down has a foil hat. Have you got a foil hat?
Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones. Gotta be high when you own this soul. Mr. Jones, gotta be high when you own this soul. Mr. Jones, gotta be high when you own this, high when you own this.
Come stop by the candy store, main. So many flavors, make your eyes pop again. OG Kush, Purple with a white widow with it ain't no thing. Cali Miss, MK Ultra, got a push a candy cane, spit it, hit it, make it go insane, insane in the membrane. One low Jones and all day. It's 60 and 8, okay, baby, it's a one-way road, a hustler's way. I'm not the street, I get high, call me Mr. Jones, order supplies. I got it on lock, not a crack rock, just a hash block. What the fuck? I'm your evergreen thumb top, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones. Gotta be high when you own this soul. Mr. Jones, gotta be high when you own this soul. Mr. Jones, gotta be high when you own this, high when you own this. I want it all or nothing, it's nothing. To make something out of nothing. I remember when white music was a dream. Now on everything, we killing everything that's on the scene. Partying up hip-hop. Santana Road, now we unstoppable. Can't share rock when the other white rapper show. Soul it for sure taking over this whole. Can't forget about Thug Therapy. They'll put you in the mud earlier. Get touch her on me a white head. They'll leave your whole area go dead. Ask me dumb, we drop bombs. We the ones smoked at the cave, what's a dumb? Post when we over, can't pat down my lungs. We all gone, we still stoned. Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones. Gotta be high when you own this soul. Mr. Jones, gotta be high when you own this soul. Mr. Jones, gotta be high when you own this, high when you own this.
Up another block with cash rocks, making it Jones, making it Jones. Never gonna stop like the bill to the top, making it Jones, making it Jones.
I'm the one that call Mr. Jones. Let it be known where I'm
may roam the 417. That's my home, new woman I got. 2 green thumbs, that's wanna be rock star. Reach into my pocket and I pull out a rocket. Mr. Jones never gonna stop my buzz. Time I keep